Confess to the campus bell 99 times, from now on, I am the male god. Qingjiang University, downstairs of the #1 teaching building. When the bell rang, after a brief silence, countless students suddenly poured out of the entire teaching building, rushing towards the cafeteria and dormitory. Go, today's chicken legs are half price. Hurry back to the dormitory, I'm dying of suffocation during class, just play a 5-person team to get points. Hehe, Xiaoli, are you going to the bar with your boyfriend tonight? College life is like this, noisy and full of vitality, everyone is desperate to release their youth and vitality. However, in this noisy area far away from the teaching building, a man silently walked out from the roadside, struggling to avoid the crowd and walked towards the teaching building. He has been waiting here for a long time. It is winter now. The man's hands have been frozen red and hard, and his nose is also red. But even so, the man's temperament is still very outstanding, attracting the attention of countless girls, and even some new girls approached the man against the flow of people, wanting to pass by him. There is no way, being handsome is a hard currency wherever you go. Sister Yudong stopped the schoolgirl and laughed. Silly girls, don't be crazy about him. Suli is a famous person in our school. It's not your turn. The girl blushed and retorted. How do you know if you don't try? The schoolgirl was obviously an old hand. She didn't refute, but just raised her chin and motioned the girl to keep watching. And it wasn't just the girls. Soon, many idle students gathered together to watch Suli, who was going against the flow of people. At this time, Suli had squeezed to the door of the teaching building. His eyes suddenly lit up. The man stared at the girl who had just walked out of the teaching building and shouted, "Yu Qing!" Four girls were walking out of the stairs in the front hall at this time. Although all four of them were charming, the girl in the middle was particularly outstanding. She was not wearing any makeup, but she became the center of attention. She was wearing a loose white long windbreaker, but when the wind blew, people could see her long legs, which made people imagine. After seeing Suli, the other three girls had not reacted yet, but the girl in the windbreaker had no smile on her face and became cold. The girl deliberately took a detic and wanted to leave through the side door. Yu Qing, wait a moment. Suli carefully took out a bright red rose from his arms and spoke softly with infinite affection, which made the freshmen around him pause. Is he going to confess his love? The girl named Yu Qing also paused slightly. Handsome guy and beautiful girl, the two of them just stood together, as if they were the perfect couple in a beautiful photo. Even the freshman who had some thoughts about Suli began to sigh slightly. The old senior smiled again. Don't give up so early, the fun has just begun. The freshman smiled bitterly. Senior, don't comfort me, he is obviously going to confess, the two are so well matched, I am embarrassed to be obsessed with him. The senior became serious. It is true that he wants to confess, but does it have to succeed? The freshman was stunned and looked at Suli, a little puzzled. Such a handsome senior can't confess successfully. Yes, not only did he fail, but he failed dozens of times. Since last semester, Suli has confessed to Who Are You once a day, rain or shine, as long as you come at this time, you will definitely see it. The freshman was shocked and exclaimed, this is too infatuated, so romantic. She seemed to have thought of something, and said, but why did senior Yu Qing always refuse? Is senior Suli a scumbag? That's not the case. Suli was innocent when he confessed for the first time, and gradually learned to dress himself up. The old student shook his head, with some memories on his face. You will only be surprised once or twice, and maybe you will see this scene every day in the future. At first, they were as shocked as the new students, but gradually they got used to it. At first, some people laughed at Suli for not knowing what was good for them, but later, they felt uncomfortable if they didn't see it for a day. So many old students like her came to watch with nothing to do. And there were quite a few. Before they knew it, the surroundings were already crowded with students, both old and new. Even some teachers and professors who had just finished class stretched their necks when they passed by, looking at these two legendary men and women on campus. There was no way, the man was too handsome and the woman was too beautiful, it was impossible not to know. In the center of everyone's vision, Suli was not at all stage fright, a gentle smile bloomed on his face, and he spoke softly. Yu Qing, long time no see. Faced with Suli's greeting, the girl named Yu Qing was indifferent, just like the dozens of times before. The indifference made people feel cold. Seeing Suli gradually lowered his head, Yu Qing turned around and was about to leave. At this time, Su Li's voice suddenly came from behind again. Yu Qing, please wait a moment. Su Li gritted his teeth and said loudly. This is my 99th confession. Can you listen to me finish my words? Hearing this number, everyone except Yu Qing was shocked. The old student sighed that it turned out that so much time had passed without realizing it. And the new student was almost moved to tears. Insisting on confessing 99 times, what a passionate story. Even an Iron Man would be soft-hearted. But Yu Qing, the center of everyone's attention, still had a blank expression on her face. Have you finished? Her voice was very pleasant, but also very cold. Su Li shuddered and looked up suddenly. No, Yu Qing, this time, I just want you to listen to me, okay? Seeing Yu Qing nod, Su Li took a deep breath, and then he slowly spoke in a soft voice. Yu Qing, you know, some people say that all love at first sight is just lust, but I still have to say that I fell in love with you at first sight. At first I thought it was just lust, but as time went by, I realized that my feelings for you were love. Yu Qing, I love you. I not only love your beautiful face, but I also love your gentle heart and pure kindness. Yu Qing, I have done many stupid things for you. I have written poems, songs, set off fireworks, and was chased and beaten by security guards. Someone laughed when they heard this. However, Su Li did not laugh. He stared straight at Yu Qing's bright eyes, and his eyes gradually sparkled. I am willing to try everything I think is romantic for you. Yu Qing, whether you believe it or not, you are the first girl who makes my heart beat. I am willing to give you all the beauty in the world. I am willing to cater to all your preferences, pay attention to all your dynamics. I am willing to make you the happiest girl in the world, and you. Su Li's lips trembled, and he handed over the rose in his hand, saying that sentence with almost all his strength. Are you willing to accept the roses I planted by myself? Are you willing to accept my confession? Yes, I am willing. Why are you so excited? The senior sister slapped the tearful junior sister on the back of her head, and the latter raised her head aggrievedly. Senior sister, who can resist this? The roses planted by myself. This marriage, I agree. What's the use of your promise? The senior shook her head. It depends on the person involved. The freshman was stunned for a moment, and suddenly became anxious. What's there to hesitate about? Senior Yu Qing, please agree. Agree. At this moment, everyone in front of the teaching building, from the teenage freshman to the white-haired old professor who was attracted to the cafeteria when he was about to get food, only had these three words in their hearts. However, Yu Qing was the only one who was not included. Withered. She glanced at the rose, left two words, and turned away. Withered. This was her response. The crowd around looked at each other and forgot to say anything. Su Li looked at the slender back and pursed his lips. He resisted the tears that were about to fall from the corners of his eyes and uttered two words. Accept. Chapter 2, System Awakens, Living Off Soft Rice or Hard Work. Ding. Congratulations to their host for completing the activation task. Confess 99 times. Would you like to accept system binding? After binding, the new player gift pack will be automatically distributed. Accepted. Su Li softly muttered these two words, his eyes filled with a sense of melancholy. A few months ago, Su Li had suddenly awakened the system while dozing off in class. However, the condition for awakening the system was to complete 99 confessions. Su Li didn't want to become a scoundrel who harmed innocent girls, so he chose the school belle, Lin Yuqing, as the target for his confessions. In his heart, he promised that if Yuqing accepted his confession, he would immediately stop all future confessions and abandon the system altogether. But who would have thought that after 99 confessions, letters, singing, lighting candles, and various other methods, Su Li went from being shy to disappointed, and eventually numb. Lin Yuqing never accepted him and remained indifferent to him the whole time. Now, the system had awakened. It was time for Su Li to put an end to his interference in Yuqing's life. Snow suddenly began to fall from the sky, and Su Li exhaled a puff of white mist. He brushed the snowflakes off his shoulders and turned to leave. In a classroom within the teaching building. Yuqing, Su Li has left. A girl standing by the window glanced outside and quickly turned around to call out to the others. The next moment, the four girls gathered around the window, watching Su Li's retreating figure outside, laughing and joking. Oh, I'm so jealous. I wish someone would confess to me 99 times. Hey, you. Look at yourself. Only Yuqing deserves a man who is both so devoted and handsome. But the girl who had been standing by the window didn't laugh. Instead, she looked worriedly at Yuqing. Yuqing, you're going to accept Su Li's confession tomorrow, right? Before Yuqing could respond, the other two girls laughed and said, it's been 99 times, what s one more? Only someone as devoted as Su Li deserves our school belle Yuqing. Yuqing nodded at their words. A shy, happy smile lingered on her exquisite face. Women aren't made of stone, after all. Anyone who shows true affection for them will naturally be moved, especially someone as handsome as Su Li. After the first few confessions, Yuqing had already developed feelings for him. However, she hadn't shown it, instead following her friend's advice to keep a cold front and test Su Li's sincerity. Now, after 99 confessions, Su Li's sincerity was undeniable. Yuqing had already started planning which dress to wear when she accepted Su Li's confession tomorrow. She would be the happiest girl then. Yuqing softly spoke with a smile, tomorrow, when Su Li confesses to me, I will definitely accept. Her two roommates clapped happily, but the girl who had first expressed concern still had a worried look on her face. Yuqing had said this many times before. But each time, she had backed out at the last minute. Su Li had confessed 99 times, proving his sincerity, but would that sincerity hold up against the 100 test? The girl's face was filled with concern as she closed the classroom door. Bang! The dormitory door was slammed open, and Su Li walked in, shaking the snow off his shoulders. The snow is really heavy outside. Su Li suddenly stopped. He slowly looked up and saw two boys in their boxers lewdly stretching their hands out, while another boy, also in boxers, had a sympathetic expression as he pulled out red bills from his wallet. This scene froze the moment Su Li entered the room. The three boys immediately looked embarrassed. Li Ji, what a coincidence, you're back at the dorm. Li Ji, good morning. Li Ji, it's not what you think. Su Li frowned and pulled a snowball from his jacket hood. Do you think this is funny? Eat my snowball first. As he spoke, all four of them began playfully fighting. The three boys in boxers were Su Li's roommates. They had a favorite pastime, betting on whether Su Li would succeed in his confession. Each time, one of them would be forced to pick the outcome where Su Li succeeded. Of course, the winners weren't free, they had to treat everyone to drinks and take out food. Since Su Li always got free meals, he knew that his roommates just wanted an excuse to console themselves. This snowball fight wasn't too intense. After the three roommates had shivered under the attack, Su Li decided to stop. Zhao Jian, who was wearing flashy pink boxers, turned over and threw his arm around Su Li's shoulder. Li Ji, it's just a failed confession, no big deal. Tonight, I'll treat you guys to dinner. What do you want to eat? It's on me. Li Jianhe, in blue boxers, pushed up his glasses and said, on a rational note, I'll also contribute to tonight's treat. Chen Zhu, who had been wearing flower pattern boxers, couldn't help but interject. You two jokers, why are you so eager to play the nice guy? You're the ones who are treating tonight. Su Li smiled slightly, knowing the rules. Normally, when they went out to drink, the person who lost the bet would pay, and the other two would cover the difference. But this time, Su Li wanted to change things up. He wanted to do something different to say goodbye to his past self. He thought for a moment and then said, we always eat takeout in the dorm. It's too boring. Let us go out tonight. Chen Zhu's eyes lit up immediately. Great. There's a new bar on South Street. I heard the lead singer is amazing. Let us go there. Then let us go there, Su Li confirmed with a smile. Chen Zhu was excited, but Zhao Jian and Li Jianhe didn't seem as thrilled. Going out would be much more expensive than takeout, especially at a bar, a place that could burn through cash quickly. The winners of the bet would be expected to cover the difference. Chen Zhu was clearly determined to make both Zhao Jian and Li Jianhe pay for it. Su Li saw their displeased expressions and chuckled. He had always been getting free meals from his roommates, but he had never complained. However, this time, he was determined that his roommates wouldn't have to spend a single cent. With a bold gesture, he patted his chest. Don't worry, tonight nobody is paying but me. We're going to the bar, and I'll cover everything. Zhao Jian was shocked by Su Li's extravagant attitude. Damn, Li Ji, you've struck it rich. A VIP booth at a bar costs hundreds, and for 4 people, it's several thousand. Su Li didn't hurry to respond. Looking at the virtual screen in front of him, he smiled faintly. A few thousand was nothing. He truly had that kind of money now. Su Li silently chanted in his heart, "System, use the new player gift pack." Ding! New gift pack used. Soft rice points, 100, assets, 500,000 renminbi, already transferred to their hostess account. Chapter 3, The Four Beauties of Qingjiang, the diva Qin Xin. Pretty, but still Yuqing is prettier, right? Su Li thought for a moment before answering honestly, well, it's still Yuqing. Although I haven't seen Qin Xin, if she made it into the Four Beauties based on her musical talent, then maybe she is still not as pretty as Yuqing. Su Li suddenly fell silent. He just realized that the voice that spoke earlier seemed to have been a woman's voice. He looked up and saw three of his roommates staring at him with strange expressions. Su Li turned around and found a girl with a large guitar case on her back, her long hair flowing, standing right behind him. The girl had a lollipop in her mouth, her hands casually stuffed into her pockets, and she was looking at him with a playful glint in her eyes. Zhao Jian's mouth was hanging open in shock. Qin Xin. This girl was Qin Xin? Su Li couldn't help but take a longer look at the girl. And that single glance made Su Li wish he could take back the words he had just spoken. He retracted his previous statement. Although Qin Xian's singing voice might be more famous, there was no doubt that, even just in terms of beauty, she was every bit as stunning as Yuqing. If Yuqing was the unreachable flower on a high mountain, then Qin Xian was like a digital flower blooming in the world of electronics. Qin Xian had slightly narrow, elongated eyes, and her mouth was always curled in a mischievous smile. She wasn't wearing any makeup and hadn't tied her hair, yet there was an undeniable coolness about her. She resembled a cat, in a way. Make way, big-hearted love guru, I'm gonna be late for my performance. Qin Xian wrinkled her delicate nose and waved her hand dismissively. Su Li instinctively stepped aside, only realizing afterward. Do you know me? Qin Xian, already walking past him, paused and turned back to smile. Of course I know you. You're famous, right? And it seems like you're also quite good at singing. Su Li let out a wry smile. He didn't need to be told he knew exactly what kind of reputation he had. After finishing her sentence, Qin Xian turned and walked away without looking back. Chapter 4, There is nothing to say between humans and animals. Only when her back disappeared around the corner of the store did Zhao Jian yell, "Oh. He knows my roommate, and she has me in her heart. Fuck, what a crazy person. It stinks, bury this pervert please." When the foursome entered the bar, Qin Xian had already started singing on the stage. The bar has a small band. Qin Xian is the guitarist and lead singer, and there are also several assistants including a bassist and drummer. But unfortunately, their level may be good, but unfortunately, both their appearance and level are overshadowed by Qin Xian. It is no exaggeration to say that in this Qingjiang bar, Qin Xian is like a queen. The huge bar almost became a large fan meeting. Su Li even saw several weirdos holding LED fan signs. Compared with them, Zhao Jian could be called a rational fan. After singing several songs in succession, Qin Xian went backstage to rest. However, the one who replaced her was not the singer in the bar, but an audience member, a young man dressed in a flashy manner. He actually sang quite well, but there was no encouragement from the audience, only boos. After the young man finished singing, he went down with a red face. Is bar singing so popular now? Su Li was stunned. Zhao Jian chuckled. Brother Li, you don't know that the one who is involved is not the bar singer, but Qin Xian's fans. What's the meaning? It's a rule of Qingjiang bar. Zhao Jian took a sip of wine and showed an envious look. Whenever Qin Xian is resting, the audience who come to drink can go up and sing. As long as Qin Xian thinks you are qualified, she will come up and sing with you, or even accompany you all night. All night. Chen Zhu and Li Jianhe widened their eyes. Qin Xian didn't look like a casual woman. Get lost, put away your filthy thoughts. We are just drinking and chatting in this bar. It will be useless outside the bar. Su Li smiled silently, he actually had the wrong idea. Zhao Jian suddenly came forward and put his arm around Su Li's shoulders. Brother Li, you practiced singing in the dormitory every day before, so your level must be pretty good. How about it, are you interested in giving it a try? Su Li smiled and didn't have that intention. Although he had practiced guitar in the dormitory and even wrote his own songs, he had only learned them on the spot in order to confess his love to Yu Qing. In terms of real ability, he was not much better than the young man just now, and he probably wouldn't be able to survive a few rounds of booing. He was about to refuse, but his tone suddenly froze. Bite. System tasks have been released. Mission, Diver Sonata first sound. He went on stage and sang to the point that it shocked Chin Xin. Rewards will be issued based on the degree of completion. Damn it, is this forcing me? Su Li couldn't help but smile bitterly. I originally wanted to keep a low profile, but the system just wouldn't allow it. Su Li stood up. Zhao Jian looked surprised. Brother Li, do you want to go on stage? Why are you on stage? Go to the toilet. Su Li laughed, turned and walked towards the bathroom. As he walked, he flipped through the pages of the system skill store. If Su Li went on stage according to his real ability, he would definitely be booed off. But what can he do? He has a system. Just now Su Li remembered that he had seen music-related skills for sale. Got it. Su Li's eyes lit up. Guitar skills, master performance, 30 soft meal points. Master of playing and singing, 30 soft meal points. Note, the bundle is sold for 50 soft meal points. Wow, this system is pretty good at promotions. However, for a girl like Chin Xin who has arrogance written all over her face, you only know one thing, so it's really hard to subdue her. If you want to play, play the wildest one. If you want to learn the whole set. The bundle, that's it. Su Li was happy and placed an order to buy it. Anyway, I have 100 loyal customers, so even if I buy the bundle, I still have 50 left, right? Just when Su Li's finger was about to touch the purchase button, his face suddenly changed and he stepped back. Bang! The door of a cubicle in the toilet was suddenly pushed open, and if Su Li hadn't reacted quickly enough, it would have almost hit Su Li in the face. Then, a girl with loose hair suddenly rushed out, but only half of her body was stretched out, and she was dragged back roughly. Su Li was confused and quickly took a look at the toilet next to him to make sure he was not in the wrong place. This was indeed the men's restroom. Dude, I'm playing with my girlfriend. Sorry to bother you. A scoundrel-looking man in leather pants with a big flower tattoo on his arm was apologizing to Su Li. However, although he appeared to be apologizing, the threat in his eyes was self-evident. Su Li spread his hands innocently, indicating that he would leave immediately. The man in leather pants nodded with satisfaction and closed the partition. Chapter 5, Learning Martial Arts for Roommates. The gangster called Brother Wolf walked out of the toilet, holding the wall and covering his stomach. He saw Su Li's back with hateful eyes. He roared, "Beat him to death for me." The few little followers nearby also reacted and rushed out one after another. After leaving the corridor, Su Li took the girl and wanted to run outside. This scene was seen by the sharp-eyed Zhao Jian, who shouted, "Holy crap! Look! Brother Li is going to the toilet and a little beauty is coming out. He's still disheveled, what a beast!" Li Jianhe, who was standing by, pushed his glasses and said indifferently, "Based on the established facts, Brother Li must have robbed the women of those gangsters, otherwise why was he chased and beaten?" Upon hearing this, Zhao Jian and Chen Zhu turned their heads to look at Li Jianhe, who looked calm, with the corners of their mouths twitching. Chen Zhu shouted, "Damn it, what are you still standing there for? Go up and help." The three of them rushed out from their seats, holding bottles of wine in their hands. "Don't be afraid, Brother Li, your elder brother is here. Brother Li, if we are brothers, let's fight together. I am not afraid of anything." Even the usually polite Li Jianhe stood up tremblingly, "Based on the established facts, even if you stole their girlfriends, we will still help you, Brother Li." When Su Li heard these words, he felt a little touched, but at the same time he laughed out of anger. What kind of stupid roommate is this? Is he so thick-skinned? The three of them stood beside Su Li. The gangsters and the leader, Brother Wolf, also rushed out and sneered, "So you have an accomplice? No wonder you dared to steal my woman. You are just a bunch of green students. I can beat 10 of you by myself. Are you looking for death?" Neither side was willing to give in, and they rushed forward. Everyone in the Qingjiang bar gave up a large area of the venue. They were all Qin Xuanxin's fans and students of Qingjiang University. The noisy noise in the hall also attracted Chin Xin, who had returned backstage to rest. Her eyes were always on Su Li, and she saw that guy was actually pulling a disheveled girl. Qin Xuanxin's lips curled up slightly, a romantic, this doesn't fit your personality. She took out the instrument that she had put back into her bag, and pleasant music flowed from her white fingertips. I take a look today. Your confession has been rejected 99 times. She now believes that Su Li has been rejected too many times and has started to become casual. As a result, he hooked up with the woman of a gangster and got into trouble. In such an intense scene, Chin Xin, who wanted to watch the fun, actually started singing. When the fans around saw this scene, their emotions were also aroused. They were all young and energetic college students, and they all waved flags and cheered. The fight has almost become a fan club now. But one side is a group of hooligans who often fight in groups, while the other side is a group of honest and decent college students. The situation in the bar was naturally one-sided. Relying on his excellent physique, Su Li easily beat up the gangsters in front of him, while the strong Zhao Jian and Chen Ju over there were also able to protect themselves. Only the gentle and somewhat thin Li Jianghe was left, and he had been cornered by two thugs. They are not stupid, they can see clearly. I knew this little guy was the easiest to bully. Of course, you should choose the softest persimmon. Bang! A wine bottle hit Li Jianghe's arm hard. Li Jianghe felt pain, his face instantly turned red, and he covered his arm and screamed. Old Li. Zhao Jian and Chen Ju were both extremely anxious, but they were unable to take care of themselves and were unable to do anything else. It seemed that the next wine bottle was about to hit Li Jianghe on the head. Su Li was filled with anger. Damn it, I just awakened the cheat today, and you guys, a few punks, dare to come and cause trouble. He quickly opened the skill panel and found the Chinese martial arts column. The price is 50 soft girl points. But the situation was critical, Su Li couldn't care less and just started studying. In an instant, he felt that his mind had gained a lot of knowledge about human parts and acupuncture points. The body's strength and speed have also been enriched a lot. Ding! Chinese martial arts skills gain additional physical fitness bonus. Your physical fitness increases by 30 points. Stop it now! Su Li roared and kicked the gangster in front of him away with a flying kick in the air. He quickly rushed to Li Jianghe again. Throw a punch! Bang! The fist and the wine bottle collided violently in the air. The wine bottle was broken, but Su Li's hand was only slightly red and swollen. It seems that my ability to withstand blows has also improved. Su Li looked at his hand in disbelief. He hardly felt any pain just now. Next second, Su Li punched the dazed gangster, who flew backwards again. Come on, who dares to touch my brother's hair? Su Li performed the standard Chinese martial arts starting posture, which matched his already extraordinary temperament. It was definitely the young martial arts master who got angry and repelled the villains. Brother Wolf looked at Su Li and raised his mouth with disdain. I've fought so many fights, it's not that I haven't fought against people who know martial arts, but they are just fancy tricks. Come on. Break his leg. Several gangsters got up and rushed towards Su Li together. But soon, a scene that shocked everyone happened. Su Li's movements were not wasted at all and were very decisive. Every punch and kick is like a spectacular martial arts performance. And its power should not be underestimated. The traditional and authentic Chinese martial arts style combines fists and feet, and emphasizes both offense and defense. Punch and kick. Every move can highlight the profoundness and magnanimity of Chinese martial arts. Su Li, who was calm and composed among the gangsters, seemed like a banished immortal from the mortal world. Within 2 minutes, all the thugs were knocked to the ground and could not stand up again. Brother Wolf's expression changed completely. Are all college students nowadays so good at fighting? Right at this moment, a group of managers in black suits came down from the second floor of the bar. They were the security of the bar. Even though the leading man was wearing a black suit, his muscles seemed to be about to explode. When the people around saw Qingjiang's security guards coming down, they subconsciously held their breath. You know, South Street is an extremely prosperous neighborhood. The cakes here have almost been eaten up. The fact that Qingjiang was able to suddenly appear in such a short period of time requires deep thought as to the power behind it. A large part of the credit also goes to Qingxian's security guards. Since the opening, no one has ever dared to cause trouble here. You guys, give me an explanation. The fierce man in the lead said. Inside the Qingjiang bar, the corner of Brother Wolf's mouth twitched. He had already realized that his group of people could not handle this handsome boy. If we want to get this place back today, we must rely on Qingjiang's own security. Chapter 6. Have you been tempted by worldly desires? This fierce man is definitely not to be trifled with. Thinking of this, Brother Wolf smiled and walked up to the fierce man in a flattering manner. Brother, I know the rules here, but I must get this place back today. How do you think about this? I'll pay you 20,000 yuan, will you give me justice? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present gasped. Even Chin Xin on the stage frowned slightly, hesitating whether to ask for help from Su Li. They were all students with little money. If this wolf brother was really willing to pay 20,000 yuan to deal with him, they would have suffered a loss today. Zhao Jian and the others' expressions also changed. 20,000 yuan was almost as much as their living expenses for a year. Brother Li, what should we do? How about we admit our mistakes? Su Li glared at him and said, you are useless. Leave it to your brother Li to deal with it. Before the fierce man could speak, Su Li walked out and said calmly, in terms of logic, it was you who forced the girl in the men's bathroom first. The scars on her body are proof of that. Su Li pulled the girl to his side, and the people around them looked at him. Take a breath of cold air. The girl's body was covered with bruises of varying sizes, and it seemed that she was often beaten by this wolf brother. The girl was almost frightened to death at this point, and didn't dare to look wolf brother in the eye. Brother Wolf sneered, so what? She is still my girlfriend. We are in this together. Poor student, this society talks with money. If you don't have money, you have to admit defeat today. What a bullshit theory. Chin Xin rolled her eyes and prepared to go and speak in person. What she hates most is scumbags like wolf brother who beat women and confuse right and wrong. But at this moment, Su Li sneered, money talks. Okay, this security guy, I'll give him 200,000, 10 times the price. I hope he can't leave this bar. As soon as these words came out, Su Li's roommates started to pull him away. Are you crazy, Su Li? We don't have 200,000 yuan. Zhao Jian's face turned pale. Based on the established facts, we are bound to suffer a loss today. Brother Li is still impulsive. Li Jianghe's thin legs were still trembling. Chen Zhu's face wasn't looking good either, and he was ready to call his home. The fierce man glanced at Su Li calmly and said, words are not enough. Su Li smiled and said, take the payment code and I will transfer it to you directly. Next, the waiter brought the payment code under my incredulous look. With a ding sound. 200,000 has been received. Crisp and loud. Everyone in the audience was deeply shocked. Is this the most romantic guy in our school? God, is he going to let anyone live? He's handsome, knows martial arts, and is also rich. Some male audience members expressed their helplessness with a sour tone. So handsome, why isn't he the idol of our school? Those students in the student union only know how to judge the school beauties. I think the school beauties are not worthy of senior Su Li. More girls in the bar had their eyes shining, and they couldn't wait to pounce on Su Li and take a bite. After receiving 200,000, even the fierce man looked up to Su Li. This student is very skilled in martial arts and remains calm even when faced with a huge crisis. He also seems to come from a wealthy family. Great things will happen in the future. The fierce man glanced at Brother Wolf and the group of frightened thugs indifferently. The threat is obvious. This customer, I will give you an explanation. But killing is against the law. I can assure you that from now on, as long as you show up in this bar, these people will never exist. Okay, but they can't take this girl away. I want to hear her own wishes. Su Li nodded, still protecting the girl. There was not a single girl present who was not moved. Such a handsome, rich, martial arts savvy and protective male god, they couldn't wait to marry Su Li right there. The girl also reacted at this time, looked at Su Li gratefully, and said, I don't want to go with him, he forced me to do everything. Brother Wolf turned pale when he heard this and glared at the girl fiercely. The fierce man saw everything. Since I have taken Su Li's 200,000 yuan, I can't just not help him out at all. The fierce man bulged his leg muscles and kicked Wolf Brother on the back. The latter fell directly to the ground with a loud bang. R. The force was so great that Brother Wolf screamed and then fainted. Why don't you get out of here? From today on, this girl is our Jingxian's waitress. Anyone who harasses her again will bear the consequences. The fierce man's heavy voice sounded. A few hooligans were so scared that they quickly carried the unconscious wolf brother out of Qingjiang. My customer, are you satisfied with the result? The fierce man asked. Su Li nodded, and the people around him looked at him with admiration. Chapter 7, Who Sent the Snacks? Su Li shook his head. I didn't go. Why? The three people in the dormitory said in unison. They don't understand why they gave up on something they had persisted in 99 times the 100th time. Could it be that Brother Li is also going to do that trick of taking 99 steps and then turning around and leaving on the last step? Oh my God, the most romantic person in our school didn't even confess his feelings. Is he discouraged? Chen Ju guessed. Su Li smiled slightly. Well, I don't plan to pursue her anymore. But in my heart I thought, I have already successfully activated the system, what is there to pursue? The three of them thought that Su Li was upset and asked around. But Su Li smiled and shook his head as if nothing had happened, and even prepared to go to bed. Right at this moment, the dormitory door opened again. This time it was the auntie in the dormitory who was standing at the door and shouting in her unique auntie voice. Is Su Li here? A girl gave you something. A woman. Giving something to Brother Li? The three roommates' eyes suddenly widened. They looked at each other in bewilderment. Could it be that Brother Li didn't confess his love today because he had a new love? Su Li, however, had a head full of question marks as he took the exquisite snack box from the dormitory manager. Who sent it, auntie? The dormitory manager muttered, it was sent by a pretty girl. You are such an innocent boy, don't delay other girls. Su Li was afraid that the old lady would continue nagging, so he quickly closed the door and sent the guest away. But as soon as you open the snack box, you'll see all kinds of exquisite, steaming snacks inside. It's clearly handmade. Zhao Jian and the other two surrounded them. Brother Li, you are so lucky. This is clearly handmade. Even the dormitory manager said that the girl is pretty. She must be a great beauty. Zhao Jian said enviously. Their dormitory manager is famous for her cold face and foul mouth. A girl who even she can't help but say is pretty must be a peerless beauty. That's right, no wonder you didn't confess to the school beauty. Tell me what's going on with this one. Chen Ju was greedy and wanted to reach out to grab a snack, but was interrupted by Li Jianghe. Please keep your eyes peeled, there is a love letter in the box. A love confession letter. Zhao Jian and Chen Ju both raised their voices and rushed to read it. I'm so jealous. Brother Li, is he going to let ordinary men like us survive by always being surrounded by beautiful women? Zhao Jian scratched his crotch. The remaining two people looked at him in unison, not disguising their disdain. You're a bitch, it's hard for you to be single in this life. Seeing how anxious the three men were, Su Li could only shake his head and smile bitterly. He is still confused and has no idea who sent it. The pink letter paper contains clean and beautiful handwriting. Su Li, I admire you very much. Can I be your friend? Just such a simple line of words. TSK, so we're becoming friends. The three roommates dispersed after seeing the contents of the letter, losing interest amid boos. You guys. Su Li laughed in silence, but at the same time he was also curious, considering it was now this day and age. Are there any girls who would make friends in such a unique way as writing letters? At this moment, the system in his body sent out. A reminder tone is heard. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting 50 soft rice points. Su Li was slightly surprised and then he started to laugh. He never thought that a letter he received by chance could actually allow him to get some money. It just so happens that my soft rice points have been used up. Only then did Su Li remember that he still had a system task to sing in Jingxian to conquer Qin Xin. It seems that I need to take some time to go to Jingxian. Su Li has never been a procrastinating person. He did what he said. After packing up, he went to Jingxian alone. Most of the people in the room were still Qin Xuanxin's male fans, all of whom were fascinated by Qin Xin singing on the stage. Su Li arrived just as Qin Xin had finished singing a song. The timing is just right, let's make it quick and decisive. Su Li went on stage without hesitation and took Qin Xuanxin's guitar and microphone. A big lover. Shouldn't you be confessing your feelings to Yuqing at school at this time? Qin Xin was very surprised to see Su Li. Su Li smiled slightly, I won't confess my feelings today, and I won't confess my feelings in the future. I'll come over and sing a song. Qin Xin rolled her eyes, why? How can a romantic man change his mind and fall in love with someone else? I heard the song you sang when you confessed your love in school. I advise you not to be embarrassed if you want to sing it here. What? Yuqing failed to express her love, so you turned around and conquered me? Chin Xin kept this sentence in her heart and didn't say it. Su Li began to play and sing amid the envious and jealous eyes of a group of male fans. There is systematic skill point help. The guitar and microphone seemed to be born on Su Li. Instead of being nervous in the spotlight, he extremely enjoyed being the center of attention. Su Li sang the wild rock style that he had prepared long ago. During those few minutes, it seemed as if the whole world had quieted down, with only Su Li and his guitar playing madly. All the audience present were shocked at first, then intoxicated, and finally couldn't help but start to follow Su Li's rhythm and have fun. The beautiful Chin Xin stood next to Su Li and became a foil. Oh my god, are we going to die? He can actually sing. I'm afraid even half of the rock world can't match his level. Su Li is a perfect man. Did God forget to take a bite of him? Many male fans were indignant, because this time, Chin Xin might really have to accompany Su Li for a night. But Su Li's strength was too strong, and they didn't even have the mind to resist. Chin Xin also looked at Su Li in amazement. His performance was really too amazing. Even when confessing his feelings at school, Su Li only sang soft love songs, and the effect was mediocre. But this time, he seemed to be born for rock and roll. In the end, even Chin Xin was fascinated by it. Until Su Li's performance ended, no one present could come back to their senses. The system voice sounded. Ding! Congratulations to their host for completing the mission. Ding! Congratulations to their host for unlocking the singing achievement, commanding the whole audience, and being intoxicated. Exceed the task and perform perfectly to get extra rewards, 100 points. Su Li was pleasantly surprised and nodded with satisfaction. When Su Li put down the guitar and microphone, everyone was freed from their previous intoxication. Many male compatriots shed tears silently when they saw the look Chin Xin showed towards Su Li. Changed, their goddess had never looked at a man like this before. Su Li and Chin Xin are such a good match. An audience member said sincerely. Chin Xin also breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, I admit that your performance was amazing. I will accompany you here to drink and chat all day today. Chapter 8, I'll ask this scumbag for an explanation. Just when everyone thought that Su Li would take Chin Xin out for a drink, Su Li smiled awkwardly. Sorry, it's time, I have to go back to eat, let's talk later. After saying that, Su Li walked out of Qingjiang without any reluctance. Their whole place was silent. Su Li, brother Li, I'm not jealous of him at all now. This is what a man should be. Too domineering, all the beauty is bullshit, nothing can stop me from eating. Many male compatriots had admiration in their eyes and regarded Su Li as their idol. How could you reject a beauty like Chin Xin just for the sake of having a meal? What a man! There were also little girls who were in love and whispered to their companions, Su Li didn't accept Chin Xin, he didn't like Chin Xin, I still have a chance, he rejected Chin Xin because of me. The companion beside him was also infatuated, get lost, anything else is fine, but if anyone tries to snatch Su Li from me, I will turn against her. Su Li was undoubtedly the focus of everyone at this moment. But Chin Xin felt a little embarrassed. Their white pearly teeth bit the red lips. Damn Su Li, are you kidding me? You can confess your love to Yuqing 99 times, but you won't even drink with me once. At this time, the woman's strange desire to win appears. Brother, next time Su Li comes, force him to stay in the store. I will make him drink with me. The fierce Qin Xuanhu, who was reminiscing about the song in a rock and roll manner, suddenly sneezed. I think Su Li is a good guy. Why are you forcing him to do anything? He turned his head and met Qin Xuanxin's murderous eyes, so he shut his mouth obediently. Outside, he is an extremely fierce security brother, but at home, he is actually a brother who dotes on his sister. Su Li returned to the dormitory as if nothing had happened. Little did he know that someone had already recorded a video of him singing in Qingjiang and posted it on the school forum. The post went viral instantly. Moreover, Su Li seemed to have forgotten one thing. At the entrance of the cafeteria, Yuqing was wearing a white long skirt. The wind blew gently, revealing her slender and white long legs from time to time, which made people imagine a lot. Today she put on exquisite makeup, and she looked like a bride. She had already made up her mind to agree to Su Li's confession today. But until now, Su Li, who is never late, has not shown up yet. Time passes by little by little. People come and go. Su Li did not show up until it was dark. Yuqing, he won't come, go back. My best friend Sun Yuan said with a frown. Yuqing looked a little dazed, with sadness in her eyes, and asked slowly, Yuan, was it because I rejected him too coldly 99 times before, that Su Li is angry with me and doesn't want to be with me anymore? In fact, she also liked Su Li, but her best friend Sun Yuan persuaded her to be cautious when being with a man and to test the man's sincerity. With her looks and figure, only a man who sincerely confesses his love to her 100 times can be worthy of her. Sun Yuan looked at Yuqing's sad expression and felt a little embarrassed. Damn Su Li, he is a scumbag. Fortunately, you didn't agree to him. It seems that his sincerity is not that good. He is only 9 years old. I gave up after 19 times. As soon as she said this, several girls in the dormitory looked at her strangely. That look seemed to be saying, this is the 99th time, what else do you want? You've gone too far this time. Sun Yuan was even more embarrassed and said quickly, don't worry, Yuqing. Su Li must be playing a trick on you by not coming today. I will go find Su Li tomorrow and ask him face to face about this scumbag. They had no choice but to return to the dormitory in low spirits. It was not until the evening that Sun Yuan saw the video of Su Li singing on Qingjiang. She suddenly sat up from the bed and shouted, Yuqing, check the campus forum. That scumbag didn't come today. It turns out he went to Qingjiang to sing and hook up with Chin Xin. I said he was a scumbag and fell in love with someone else. Several roommates opened their phones to check. They were all deeply shocked by Su Li's extraordinary singing skills and performance. Such a perfect man could have belonged to Yuqing. A roommate murmured. Yuqing's face turned pale as she looked at the handsome figure in the video. In the past 99 days, he had come to confess his love to her every day. But I didn't cherish him, and now he has given up on me. I regret it so much. Yuqing, let me tell you, Su Li is a scumbag. He is not worth your sadness at all. Sun Yuan comforted Yuqing. Yuqing shook her head sadly, don't say it, it's my fault. I didn't cherish him well enough. Late at night. Su Li sneezed violently in his sleep and muttered, who is thinking about me in the middle of the night? He didn't know that 2 beautiful girls couldn't sleep because of him tonight. Early the next morning. Su Li and his roommate. Chapter 9, this time it's my turn to confess to you. At this time, Su Li was eating with his roommates in the cafeteria. Zhao Jian came over with a sly look on his face, Brother Li, you did a great job today. The brothers have disliked them for a long time, but they didn't dare to tell you because they were afraid that you would be sad. Su Li smiled and said, it's nothing, I have already walked out of it. Li Jianghe pushed up his glasses and said seriously, based on the established facts, you have indeed come out of it, but why do you want to stab me in the back? Backstabbed you? Su Li asked doubtfully. Chen Ju took a bite of the bun fiercely and said depressedly, why did you secretly go to sing for Chin Xin, and finally refused her offer to drink with you? That's something that makes me laugh even in my dreams. Should I confess my feelings to Chin Xin for the 99th time? Sure, Brother Li, do you know how to play hard to get this time? Zhao Jian chuckled. Don't touch Chin Xin, she is my goddess. A grown man from Chenju pretended to sound aggrieved. Su Li and others around him felt a chill in their throats, get lost. Even if Brother Li doesn't pursue Chin Xin, she still doesn't like you. Su Li didn't know whether to laugh or cry, he just wanted to complete the system task. But if I tell my roommates about this, they will probably think I'm crazy. Just when a few people were chatting and joking, Yuqing walked over. A white t-shirt, denim shorts and clean makeup can hardly conceal her beauty. Student Su Li, I want to ask you, can you please not go looking for Chin Xin? As long as you confess to me once more, I will definitely agree to you. She still had the reserve of a girl and wanted Su Li to confess his feelings to her actively. As long as you confess your feelings, she will agree instantly. Su Li and the others turned their heads, all quite surprised. This was the nicest tone Yuqing had ever used when speaking to Su Li. Damn, is this the school beauty that came to our doorstep? What will Brother Li choose? Let's make a bet, brothers. Zhao Jian instantly turned into a small banker and started muttering. Su Li looked at the girl in front of him speechlessly. Who would come up and ask someone to confess their love to her? I'm sorry, I don't want to confess to you. Su Li decisively refused. The three roommates who were just watching the show were greatly shocked. Damn, Brother Lee is such a man. He said no and he said no. He said he was walking out and he walked out. That's awesome. I won't be a celebrity chaser anymore in my life. I'll be a celebrity chaser for Brother Lee. When can I learn a few tricks from Brother Lee? I won't be afraid of not having girls chasing after me. Such a straightforward and sharp rejection made Yu Qing stand there in a daze. She is the school belle and has always been held in high esteem, but today was the first time she was rejected. Only then did she realize how Su Li felt when she rejected him. Yu Qing's eyes were slightly red and she felt extremely guilty. Su Li's rejection also made her see her own heart clearly. In fact, after these 99 confessions, she had already fallen in love with Su Li. Since you like her, what's wrong with confessing it yourself? Yu Qing plucked up her courage and ran directly to the flower shop in front of the cafeteria to buy a bouquet of flowers. Then he brought it back to Su Li. Sincerely said, Su Li, actually I have liked you for a long time. I know these 99 rejections are particularly hurtful, but I really like you. You, please give me a chance. Can you be my boyfriend? It's dinner time now. There was a constant stream of students in the cafeteria, all of them were stunned by the scene before them. They knew that Yu Qing was the school belle, and they knew even more about Su Li, who was very popular on the campus forum yesterday. Both of them are at the level of male god and goddess, and Su Li has expressed his deep love to Yu Qing 99 times before. Is it finally the end? Will the lovers finally get married? Everyone was very shocked. They didn't expect that in the end it was the school beauty Yu Qing who put aside her girlish reserve and confessed her love to Su Li. Many girls cried, thinking they had no chance. But just when everyone thought Su Li would agree, he just stood up calmly, put the plate in the recycling area, and gently helped Yu Qing up. The flowers haven't withered, but I've moved on. Sorry. Rejected again. The three roommates behind Su Li were so shocked that they couldn't describe it in words. Rejected the school beauty twice. This man is a bit ungrateful, but if it was Brother Lee, then it would be normal. Su Li walked out of the cafeteria but suddenly discovered. My soft rice point has improved. After being rejected, Yu Qing bit her lips tightly and shed tears. Before Su Li, she had never been in a relationship. It can be said that Su Li was the first boy she fell in love with. Yu Qing had a wish since she was a child, which was to save money so that she could give all her 20 years of savings to the man she loved in the future. Now he already has 1 million in his own piggy bank, but Su Li refused him. I won't give up, Su Li. Looking at the figure gradually disappearing into the distance, Yu Qing clenched her fists. Let's go, Yu Qing, this guy is going too far. Scumbag. Sun Yuan stood beside Yu Qing and started to fan the flames again. Just stop talking. How did this happen? Don't you know? Another roommate couldn't stand it anymore and spoke out to stop it. Which side are you guys on? Why are you still speaking for that Su Li? Look at how Su Li bullied our Yu Qing. How can a girl confess in person and still be rejected? Sun Yuan didn't think there was anything wrong with what she said. Otherwise, how could the three words, Puxinu, be given to her? Not only that, Su Li confessed to Yu Qing so many times, and Sun Yuan, who was watching coldly from the side, even felt that she had to find someone like Su Li in the future. It doesn't matter. He has already taken 99 steps ahead. It won't matter if I take a few more steps towards her. Yu Qing on the side didn't think so. She smiled at the people around her and left from the school cafeteria door. Oh my goodness, this is the drama of the year. Su Li is so handsome for doing this. I still have a chance, Su Li is mine. So many students watched such a good show, and the scene was even filmed by a curious person and posted on the school forum. This matter was discussed in the school for the whole day. Even on their way back, Su Li was like a giant panda, with people pointing and talking about him wherever he went. Brother Li's realm is beyond the imagination of these ordinary people. When Chen Ju saw these people pointing and talking, he gave Su Li a thumbs up. Okay, let's go back first. After giving Chen Ju a blank look, Su Li walked towards the dormitory in silence. In fact, Su Li himself was a little hesitant when he rejected Yu Qing today. Chapter 10, The Strongest King Takes You Flying. Su Li, with a casual look on his face, was just about to leave Zhao Jian's seat when another invitation popped up on the screen. No way, is this head made of stainless steel? You've been tortured like this, And you're still not convinced. Su Li really didn't want to bully this opponent, and looked at the invitation on the screen with a helpless look on his face. From a psychological point of view, this person must be suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. Li Jianhe, standing aside, looked like a charlatan and uttered a term while shaking his head. Although Su Li looked helpless, he still clicked the mouse to confirm. Are you a man? You are so good, why didn't you bully the opponent in the last game? How can you bully others like this? Not only do you scold others, but you also deliberately disgust them. A cute girl's voice suddenly came from the microphone, making the four rough guys in the dormitory stunned at the same time. Wow, the one calling me wow is actually a girl. Chen Ju's eyes lit up and he pointed at the computer screen and shouted. No, there are so many voice changers now, but they can't stop the guy on the other side from picking his feet. Zhao Jianqiu standing aside showed a look of disgust. You are the one who picks your toes. Your whole family is a group of people who pick their toes. Who knew that Su Li had already tapped the microphone at this time, and the girl opposite heard everything Zhao Jian said. However, Su Li heard the voice coming from the microphone, and he was actually choked up at this time. Did you cry? Don't cry, how about I help you win a few games? When Su Li heard that the girl seemed to be crying, he was a little at a loss. Su Li is most afraid of girls crying. When a girl cries, Su Li becomes timid. 5. You bullied me 4 times, you must compensate me. What Su Li never expected was that the girl opposite him was actually a slave. As soon as he heard about the points, he burst into laughter and agreed without hesitation. Come, let the strongest king take you flying. After Su Li said this to the girl in the microphone, he led the girl to kill people indiscriminately. The 5 promised games were quickly concluded, and all 5 were won with exceptional ease. Chapter 11, A Man Who Eats People's Food is a Soft Mouth. Okay, the game I promised you is over. I'm leaving now. Putting down the mouse, Su Li stretched and prepared to get up. Come on, can you play a few more games with me? Just a few games, okay. Who knew that this time the one who was anxious turned out to be the girl opposite? When the girl heard that Su Li was leaving, she hurried to try to keep him. I don't have a computer. This belongs to my roommate. I'm going to give it back. Maybe next time. Su Li really didn't want to continue. This game was meaningless, so he politely declined the girl. This is easy. This is my friend. Add me. The girl on the other end answered casually, as if she wanted to solve this problem for Su Li. Good. With a simple answer, Su Li left the game room. However, Su Li still used his mobile phone to add the girl in this game. Look at the photo album, brother. 3 heads came over from behind Su Li, urging him to check out the photo of this girl. Slurp. When Su Li clicked on the album and the photo appeared, a sip of water was heard behind him. I think Zhao Jian wouldn't do that, right? Su Li hid to the side with a look of disgust, fearing that Zhao Jian's saliva would drip on his back. Black stockings. Long legs. Brother, you can't see it, can you? Pointing at the phone screen, Zhao Jian's expression became somewhat resentful. If I had known this would happen, I shouldn't have let you fight for me, and I wouldn't have scolded her. I have been single for more than 20 years. It is rare for such an opportunity to fall on you. Zhao Jian's helpless voice reached Su Li's ears, and Su Li immediately handed his mobile phone to Zhao Jian. You can add her there, but remember to delete her from my account. No one is competing with you. Su Li acted very casually. Who knew that Zhao Jian's face would turn stern? Su Li, who do you think Zhao Jian, We are brothers. As the saying goes, a friend's wife should not be taken advantage of. She is yours and I will not snatch her from you. I was just joking. After saying this, Zhao Jian grinned evilly and directly rejected Su Li. Zhao Jian, are you possessed by Li Jianhe? Why do you talk in such a confusing way? Chen Zhu on the side also patted Zhao Jian with a smile. As a general rule, possession is unlikely as long as I'm alive. Li Jianhe put down the book in his hand and expressed his opinion seriously. Okay, I, Zhao Jian, only have Qin Xin in my heart. Brothers, let's go to the bar to find Qin Xin. Zhao Jian waved his hand and completely forgot about the game he had just played. Come on, brother Li, you have to call Qin Xin over for a drink today. Maybe I can create some sparks with Qin Xin today. Chen Ju put his hand on Su Li's shoulder with a smug look on his face. You guys go ahead, I won't go. Unexpectedly, Su Li shook his head slightly and refused to go to the bar. Don't worry, Brother Li, what will we do if you don't go? We are counting on you to make an appointment with Qin Xian for us today. When Zhao Jian heard that Su Li was not going, he became anxious and hurried to Su Li's side. That's right, Brother Li, you are in the bar. He showed off his power and will definitely be a hot figure if he goes there today. Just let us take advantage of it. Chen Ju put his hand on Su Li's shoulder, massaged Su Li's shoulders and persuaded Su Li. According to the feasibility theory, you should come with us. I think they have a point. Li Jianghe adjusted his glasses and looked serious. The reason why Su Li didn't want to go to the bar today was because he went to the bar before just to vent his emotions. Now that he has completely recovered, there is no need to go to the bar again. In addition, the System S task has been completed, and now Su Li just wants to study hard. I plan to study hard. I fell behind in my studies because of Yuqing's matter. I will make up for it during this period of time. With a slight smile, Su Li still shook his head and rejected the three people. Well, since you're not going today, I will be forced to take your place and become the focus of this whole event. Be careful, I'm coming. She lifted her hair in a very cocky way, looked like a crazy fan, and walked out with her hips twisted. Don't dream, Qin Xian's heart is mine. Generally speaking, Qin Xian and I also have a chance. All three roommates left the dormitory during the fight. Looking at the dormitory that had suddenly become quiet, Su Li took a book from his bookshelf, sat on a chair and began to read it carefully. The sun is setting. The light in the dormitory dimmed, and Su Li put down the book in his hand. Touching his stomach, which was already protesting, Su Li stood up and prepared to go to the cafeteria to eat. However, as soon as Su Li came out of the stairs, he saw a familiar figure. However, Su Li didn't remember who the owner of the back was for a moment. After thinking it over again and again, Su Li was about to catch up with the figure, but was grabbed by a hand. You kid, you didn't even tell me that you were in love. Here. This is yours. As soon as Su Li turned his head, he saw a delicate little package in front of his eyes. The dormitory manager at the back had a playful expression on her face and slapped the small package into Su Li's hand. Su Li lowered his head and took a look at the small package in his hand. He knew that this was another gift from the girl who had sent him snacks last time. After unwrapping the small package, there was a delicious pork trotter rice inside. But the appearance and smell are enough to whet your appetite. I feel jealous. The world is so unfair. Yu Qing pursued me and ignored Qin Xian. Now there are beautiful women delivering meals to me. How can I live? Brother Li is simply my idol. When can I enjoy this honor? Take my knee and teach me a move. Downstairs in the dormitory, Su Li was a big celebrity in the school, so naturally some people noticed what happened here. After hearing what the dormitory manager said, these people began to beat their chests and wail. Many people also looked at Su Li's face with burning gazes. I've accepted the things. If this girl comes again next time, please let me know in advance. As the saying goes, if you eat someone's food, you will be soft-hearted. It's not good to accept things from someone else when I don't even know who she is. Su Li walked up to the dormitory manager and begged her to help him meet this girl next time. You are such a playboy, how come you eat other people's food without even knowing who the girl is? Just do your thing, little brat. I'll give you advance notice next time. When the dormitory manager heard this, she stared at Su Li's face and looked him up and down, then took a deep breath and turned to walk towards her own small room. Chapter 12, Showdown, I am a martial arts master. Su Li, who was already starving, returned to the dormitory and finished a bowl of pork trotter rice in no time. Apart from anything else, this pork trotter rice is definitely many times better than the one made by those trembling aunties in the school cafeteria. It's those three guys. It was the guy in front of these three guys who was causing trouble for me that day. Come on. Zhao Jian and his three companions had just come out of the shock. The three of them were already staggering from drinking, and didn't notice at all that in the darkness outside, a dangling cigarette butt was thrown fiercely to the ground. Ouch, what are you doing? After being hit hard in the face, Zhao Jian staggered and fell to the ground, covering his face and yelling. What are you doing? If I don't beat you up so hard that peach blossoms bloom all over your face today, you won't know why peach blossoms are so red. With a roar, a large group of people dragged Zhao Jian and the other two to a small alley nearby. As soon as he entered the alley, Brother Wolf rushed up and started punching and kicking Zhao Jian. Brother Wolf has made full preparations today. He was followed by more than a dozen younger brothers. Not only that, there are two more famous thugs among the dozen or so younger brothers. After a severe beating, Zhao Jian and the other two were left without any chance to fight back. Do you three still know me? He grabbed Zhao Jian's collar and lifted him up from the ground. Brother Wolf looked very ferocious. It was the guy that my brother dealt with that day. What's the point of beating me? Zhao Jianren is a timid person who speaks timidly but not shy. Seeing the appearance of Wolf Brother in front of him clearly, with a disdainful expression on his face, Zhao Jian simply rolled his eyes. But this action was met with a loud slap in the face. If you don't mention this guy, I won't want to continue beating you. Once you mention this guy, I want to kill you. Don't say I didn't give you a chance, call him. Taking out a cell phone from Zhao Jian's pocket, Brother Wolf put the phone in front of Zhao Jian and asked Zhao Jian to call Su Li. Don't dream, I won't betray my brothers. After staring at the phone in front of him for a few seconds, Zhao Jian raised his hand and put his phone aside. You are shameless. Beat me. He loosened Zhao Jian's collar and pushed him to the ground. Brother Wolf pointed at Zhao Jian and gave an order. He turned his head and looked in the direction of Li Jianghe and Chen Zhu beside him. Are you two also a tough nut to crack? Sneered. Brother Wolf took the stick from a younger brother, put it on Li Jianghe's shoulder, and spat to the side. From a moral point of view, I have to be a tough guy. From a human nature perspective, I don't have the instinct to seek benefits and avoid harm. From the perspective of rules, it's wrong for you to hit me. Li Jianghe pushed his glasses and a set of flowery words came out of his mouth. Don't try to show off to me. I haven't even graduated from junior high school. Do you think I can understand you? I'm just asking you, are you going to scream or not? During the call, Brother Wolf seemed confused. Shaking his head, Brother Wolf had an ugly expression on his face and questioned Li Jianghe in front of him. Don't scream. This time the answer was decisive. Okay, kid, if you have the guts, you still have this to hit me. Li Jianghe's reaction obviously made Wolf Brother, who was already furious, even angrier. Raising his hand, he hit Li Jianghe with the stick. Then, Brother Wolf gave an order and looked in the direction of Chen Zhu. Don't hit him. It's no use beating him up. He's just a weak scholar. If you have anything to say, come to me. When Chen Zhu saw several people holding sticks and about to beat up Li Jianghe, he immediately shouted. Li Jianghe has always played the role of a weak scholar among his brothers, so naturally he can't stand a beating. Moreover, Li Jianghe has always been well protected by several people. Oh, you are all more loyal than the other. Not bad, not bad. Since you made this request, I can only satisfy you. Brother Wolf raised the stick in his hand and smashed it directly on Chen Zhu's head. If this stick hit Chen Zhu's head hard, I guess Chen Zhu will have to go to the hospital. Just when the stick was 0.01 centimeter away from Chen Zhu's head, a hand appeared and steadily caught the stick in Wolf Brother's hand. Su Li? Brother Li. Oh my god. The moment the figure appeared, Zhao Jian and the other two exclaimed at the same time. The person who came was naturally Su Li. After Su Li finished his pork trotter rice in the dormitory, he lay there flipping through a book for a while and then found that Zhao Jian and the other two had not returned yet. Su Li, feeling inexplicably worried, took his coat and left the dormitory to look for the three people. Outside the Qingjiang gate, Su Li was about to enter when he heard Zhao Jian's screams coming from the alley next to him. Chapter 13, Seeking External Help. On the face. Qin Xuanhu's arm, which was as thick as his calf, punched him in the face, which was something that ordinary people could not withstand. After these two punches, Zhang Long was defeated immediately. As for Brother Wolf's group, who were already at a disadvantage in terms of numbers, they were all knocked to the ground in a few moves. Little Wolf, did I warn you? Didn't I already tell you not to come here and cause trouble for Su Li again? As long as he is in this area, I will protect him. You are so brave. Qin Xuanhu stepped on Wolf Brother's chest and questioned him in a cold tone. You said you would protect this guy inside the bar, but you didn't tell me you would control him outside the bar. Brother Wolf was obviously not convinced. He was clearly about to succeed today, but Qin Xuanhu suddenly showed up. Not convinced, huh? Don't you see where this is? This is the alley of the bar. This is also the area of the bar. As long as the bar covers the area, I will protect this guy. Qin Xuanhu's words were very domineering, and with a wave of his hand he invisibly expanded Jing Xian's range a lot. Qin Xuanhu, you have to think it over carefully. My elder brother is the owner of the Hongguan bar. Today it's my eldest brother who asked me to bring people to cause trouble for this kid. I gave you enough face by not fighting in the bar. You are not giving face to my brother by acting like this now. Brother Wolf knew that he could not deal with Qin Xuanhu, so he brought up the so-called big brother behind him. The owner of the Red Pavilion bar, you are talking about Fang Zhongzhen, right? If he were standing here today, I would naturally consider it. You are just his little brother. Why does Fang Zhongzhen want to fight with me because of you, his little brother? Qin Xuanhu seemed to have also heard what Brother Wolf said about the owner of the Red House bar. But it is obvious that Qin Xuanhu is not afraid of the bar owner named Fang Zhongzhen. Instead, he said to Brother Wolf with a contemptuous expression, "If that's the case, just let him come." After saying this, Qin Xuanhu kicked Brother Wolf in the waist. "Hurry up, get out of here, and don't let me see you again." Chapter 14, Strike First. He was beaten for no apparent reason and was disrupted by Qin Xuanhu, which made Brother Wolf very unhappy. Picking himself up from the ground, Wolf Brother looked at Qin Xuanhu's face twice with resentment, and raised his finger as he walked. He pointed at Qin Xuanhu, then pointed in the direction of Su Li. It was not until they retreated to the entrance of the alley that Brother Wolf said, "Just wait for me. This matter won't be let go so easily. Qin Xuanhu, do you think you are powerful just because you have a few people under you? When my eldest brother comes over, you will know what will happen if you offend me." After saying this harsh word, Brother Wolf was afraid that Qin Xuanhu would beat him again, so he ran away. "What is that? How dare you speak harshly to me? If you hadn't run so fast, you would have been crippled to the second degree today." Qin Xuanhu obviously didn't expect that this wolf brother would dare to speak harshly to him. By the time he came to his senses, Brother Wolf had already disappeared. "Thanks for your help, Tiger." After helping Zhao Jian and the other two up from the ground, Su Li knew that he was able to get away so easily today thanks to Qin Xuanhu's help. No need to be so polite. If you really want to thank someone, don't thank me. Just thank my sister. She was the one who told me about the danger you were in here and asked me to come and help. Qin Xuanhu had a meaningful expression on his face at this moment. Younger sister. These words made Su Li stunned. There was obviously no reaction as to who Qin Xuanhu's sister was. Isn't this that? Qin Xuanhu saw Su Li stunned for a moment, then raised his hand and pointed directly at the entrance of the alley. Looking in the direction Qin Xuanhu's finger pointed, at the entrance of the alley, Qin Xianxian clenched his fists and looked inside the alley nervously. The scene that suddenly appeared in Qin Xian's mind just now, and the sight of Su Li, who looked a little embarrassed after fighting with others. Qin Xian had an inexplicable feeling in her heart, as if there was an invisible connection between her and Su Li. It was as if there was a special thread pulling her and Su Li closer. Ding, get 50 soft rice points. A voice sounded in Su Li's ears, saying that all these gigolo points came from Qin Xianxian in front of him. "Su Li, are you okay?" After walking over with a concerned expression on her face, Qin Xianxian asked Su Li about his situation. But when Qin Xianxian saw Su Li's deep eyes, her face turned red and she buried her head in her chest. "I'm fine. Thank you very much, Qin." Su Li shook his head slightly and thanked Qin Xianxian in front of him. All right, I have things to do so I won't bother you guys anymore, you guys can chat slowly." On the side, Qin Xuanhu showed an intriguing smile on his face and waved his hand. After saying this, he left the alley with a group of his younger brothers and returned to Jingxian. "Student Qin, my roommates are injured. I'll take them back first. Thank you for your help today. Tomorrow night, I wonder if you would be so kind as to invite me to dinner." Only then did Su Li realize that the person who had been found for help by the gigolo was Qin Xianxian in front of her. In this area, Su Li only knew someone who was willing to help. The only thing left is Qin Xianxian is the only one. "It's okay, we're all classmates, I didn't help much." At this moment, Qin Xianxian felt as if her head was in chaos. Subconsciously rejected Su Li's invitation. But after saying this, Qin Xian felt a little regretful. Fortunately, Su Li said in time. Student Qin should thank you. Today's incident is all thanks to you. If it weren't for you, we would have been in trouble tonight. Let's make it a point about dinner. I'll contact you tomorrow and we'll meet at the bar. After saying this, Su Li, Zhao Jian and the other two supported each other and walked towards the school. Looking at Su Li's leaving back, Qin Xin felt a little lost. I don't know how I ended up back in the bar until I heard Qin Xuanhu's voice. Sister, you don't like this Su Li, do you? The sudden voice made Qin Xian's heart shudder. Who likes him? He's the most popular guy in our school. Others have their own crushes. I don't want to interfere. When Qin Xianxian met Qin Xuanhu's eyes that said, I understand everything, she immediately explained to Qin Xuanhu in a panic. You are my sister. I know what you are thinking better than anyone else. But I also think this kid is pretty good. He's quite skilled and generous with his money. He should come from a good family. She's a good candidate for a sister-in-law. Qin Xuanhu nodded with satisfaction, as if he had already regarded Su Li as his brother-in-law. Brother, please don't say anything nonsense. It would be so embarrassing if this matter got out. Qin Xianxian rarely behaves like a little girl. At this moment, she raised her hand shyly and patted Qin Xuanhu. All right, I won't tease you anymore. But sister, if you really like this Su Li, you'd better be mentally prepared. I think he should be very popular in school. You will have many competitors by then. As your brother, I would like to give you a piece of advice. The first to strike is the strongest, the last to strike will suffer. Qin Xuanhu left these words and retreated towards the security lounge with his brothers. The first to strike is the strongest, the last to strike will suffer. Standing there and repeating what Qin Xuanhu had said, Qin Xuanxin's eyes became a little conflicted. Hiss, my goodness, my old waist is broken. After sending the three people back to the dormitory, Zhao Jian gasped as soon as his butt touched the bed, and then he held his waist and wailed. From a health perspective, I should go to the hospital now. Li Jianhe also collapsed on the bed. Although he was beaten less, his face and nose were also swollen. I saw my three roommates being beaten like this because of me. Su Li felt very uncomfortable. Although several people did not blame Su Li felt very guilty. My brothers took the beating for me because of the trouble I caused. This matter is all my fault. Su Li bowed slightly to the three people in front of him, and there was indeed a response mixed with screams. Brother, if you say that, you really don't take us seriously. As far as friendship is concerned, you're being a little awkward. Brother Li, I didn't feel anything when I got beaten, but your words made my heart go cold. Zhao Jian and the other two were talking to each other, blaming Su Li. But Su Li felt warm inside when he heard it. After warming up, Su Li saw that the three people had difficulty even turning over in bed. Su Li opened the skill panel subconsciously. Treatment. Chapter 15, Massage Therapy. Got it. One thing I have to say is that this system is indeed very comprehensive. As long as it can be used to pick up girls, even if it is just a little bit related, the system has everything. Among the treatment options, there are medical compendiums to massage. As long as there is enough food to eat, the living dead and the bones are not a problem. Su Li picked out a lot and checked the remaining soft food he had. 130 soft rice points. If you don't manage a household, you won't know how expensive firewood, rice, oil and salt are. With a sigh, Su Li exchanged 50 soft rice points for massage treatment. Massage therapy can greatly relieve pain, but it cannot eliminate external injuries like the ones Zhao Jian and others suffered. Su Li originally thought that he could use another method to cure them. But now it seems that it can only temporarily relieve their pain. After paying for his own meal, Su Li rubbed his hands and walked to Zhao Jianshan. He just put his hand on Zhao Jian's face. Zhao Jian, who was playing with his mobile phone with his eyes squinting on the bed, felt as if he had been electrocuted. He quickly curled up and hid on the edge of the bed. Brother Li. What do you want to do? Zhao Jian, with his face beaten like a pig, looked at Su Li in front of him with a vigilant look. I just want to give you a massage because you're in pain. Su Li was stunned at first, then said what he was going to do. Don't. Brother, I just took a beating for you today, it's nothing. You don't have to pledge yourself to me. I can't accept your sudden action. When Zhao Jian heard that Su Li wanted to give him a massage, the expression on his face became even more panicked, and he quickly waved his hands at Su Li. "Oh my god, what's wrong with you two? When did you two become capable of knocking each other out?" The movements of the two people immediately attracted the attention of Li Jianghe and Chen Ju. Chen Ju raised his head from the bed and sat there cross-legged with an excited look on his face. I picked up a bag of melon seeds and waited to eat them. From the perspective of interpersonal relationships, when one person gives to another, it is very easy to gain that person's favor. But from a moral point of view, it's probably inappropriate for men to be with each other. Li Jianghe also covered his eyes and locked his gaze on Su Li and Zhao Jian. "What are you guys thinking? I just learned some massage therapy techniques before. I'm worried that you guys might be injured, so I came to help you relieve the pain. Don't even think about running away, either of you." After saying this, Su Li immediately understood what these three people were thinking about. He rolled his eyes at the three of them, raised his hand and pressed Zhao Jian onto the bed. Brother Li. I was wrong, please, let me go, I don't want to." Before Zhao Jian could finish his words, Su Li's fingers pressed on his back. Su Li's hands flew and pressed twice on several acupoints. What came out of Zhao Jian's mouth was not a scream, but a comfortable sound. "I'll go. It's exciting. Is Zhao Jian feeling great?" Chen Ju still had a playful expression on his face and shouted in the direction of Zhao Jian. I should say it or not, I didn't expect Su Li to have such a method. 10 minutes. After the massage treatment was over, Zhao Jian sat up from the bed and felt relaxed all over. The pain from being beaten up has completely disappeared. Of course, there was no way to massage the face, and Zhao Jian's face was still bruised and swollen. "It's your turn. Jiang He, don't resist. Look at your thin arms and legs. Just obey me obediently." Su Li rubbed his palms, with a sly smile on his face, and moved closer to Li Jianghe. Don't come over here, you bad guy, don't come over here." With an expression of pretending to be scared on his face, Li Jianghe put his hands on his shoulders and huddled back into a ball. "No one would pay attention to you even if you screamed your throat out today." As soon as he finished speaking, Su Li had already pushed Li Jianghe down on the bed, and then gave Li Jianghe some treatment. When they finally got to Chen Ju, he was already lying on the bed with his arms and legs spread out. As the saying goes, since you can't resist, you might as well just enjoy it. "Don't pity me because I'm a delicate flower." Chen Ju shouted at Su Li, and the next second he made a sound almost identical to Zhao Jian's. After the treatment, all three people in the dormitory were able to move freely. "Su Li, go down and move your things quickly." Early the next morning, before Su Li went to bed, there was a knock on the door. Su Li sat up suddenly and recognized that the knock on the door came from the dormitory manager. He jumped down and opened the dormitory door. The dormitory aunt looked Su Li up and down, then pointed downstairs and said to Su Li, "Stinky boy, some delivery guys came this morning and said you ordered a computer, so go pick it up quickly." After saying this, the dormitory manager turned around and left. "The computer I ordered." Su Li obviously didn't react to this incident, but when he walked downstairs, Su Li suddenly raised his hand and patted his forehead. Only then did he remember that after playing the game that day, the girl didn't even tell him her name. "I just asked his name, school and dormitory building." Originally, Su Li thought that there was no need to say all this to someone they had just met while playing games online. But he couldn't resist the girl, who kept pestering him. Su Li finally told the girl his information. Who knew that this girl actually gave him a computer? Congratulations to their host for unlocking the achievement and receiving goodwill from gained friends. Get 100 soft rice points. I didn't expect to get a computer and 100 rice points at the same time. Su Li, who was not very sober, returned to the dormitory in a daze holding his computer. When the computer was placed on his desk, the other three people in the dormitory had all woken up. "Brother Li, are you adding a device to yourself?" He moved closer to Su Li and Zhao Jian smoothed down her messy hair. He looked at Su Li's unopened computer. "This is the computer that the girl who played games with me that night gave me. So that I can take her to play games." Su Li explained to Zhao Jian beside him with a helpless look on his face. "Is there any justice in this world? This was supposed to be my chance." Zhao Jian pounded his chest twice with a look of grief on his face. "I don't know if I used too much force or what, but after taking a deep breath, I held onto the table next to me and couldn't utter a word for a long time. I mean, have you had any romantic luck recently? Chen Ju also heard the conversation between the two. Chen Ju walked to the computer, fiddled with it with his hands, and looked at Su Li's face with curiosity. You must have met a rich woman. She can easily give you a computer. I'll go. Chapter 16, 9 out of 10 nerds are rich. It turned out that while talking, Chen Ju opened the computer packaging. When a white alien head appeared in front of Chen Ju exclaimed. Why do you feel like your tail has been stepped on? Is there something wrong? Zhao Jian also came to his senses at this time. Seeing Chen Ju's shocking reaction, he also looked at the computer. Good fellow, I just call him good fellow. This is not just meeting a rich woman, this is simply meeting a big partner. When Zhao Jian's eyes stopped on the brand new laptop, he couldn't move his eyes away. The ancients never deceived me. 9 out of 10 nerdy girls are rich, and the other one is a super rich man. Li Jianghe obviously recognized the computer in front of him, but Su Li, who knew little about computers, was a little confused. Why do you all react like this? Is this computer expensive? Su Li looked around at the three people in confusion, then picked up the laptop and looked it up and down. Brother, don't you recognize this notebook? This computer is from an alien. The fighter plane in the notebook. Chen Ju is usually more interested in computer-related things. At this moment, he came close to Su Li, gave Su Li a thumbs up, and told him the brand of the laptop. Alien. Su Li vaguely felt that he seemed to have heard of this name before. This computer should be good for playing games, right? Su Li didn't say anything for a long time, but when he opened his mouth, he almost made Chen Ju vomit blood in anger. Brother has a computer like this. Not to mention playing games, it can do anything that a computer can do. Chen Ju, who looked like he had lost all hope in life, explained to Su Li. While lamenting the gap between people, he returned to his seat. At this moment, Su Li's cell phone suddenly rang. Female warrior of the canyon, Su Li, did you receive the computer? I picked up the phone and saw that it was a message from that girl. After Su Li was stunned for a moment, he began to reply to the girl with his fingers flying. Su Li, there's no need to give me such an expensive gift. I can use my roommate's computer to help you. Canyon goddess, didn't you say you don't have your own computer? Besides, it's not very convenient to always use someone else's. The goddess of the canyon, I'll send one to you now. When it's time to play the game, don't refuse me. Su Li, I haven't even asked your name yet. Su Li, are you a student? Are you in the same city as me? The female warrior of the canyon, it's the same city, and it's still the same school. Okay, I have something else to do, remember to play games tonight. After leaving this last message, the girl's profile picture turned gray. From the same school. Su Li never thought that sometimes fate could be so ingenious. This girl went to the same school as him. With a sigh and a quick wash, Su Li and his group of four walked towards the teaching building. Before I even reached the front of the teaching building, I saw crowds of people in the distance. Many people gathered right in front of the teaching building. What's going on? Did something happen? Could it be that someone is confessing their love? Zhao Jian, who always likes to watch the fun, saw. So many people gathered here. An expression of excitement immediately appeared on his face. As Su Li and the other three approached the crowd, they suddenly separated. And the person standing behind the crowd was Yu Qing. Su Li? The moment she saw Su Li, Yu Qing showed a happy expression on her face and quickly moved towards Su Li. But the smile on Su Li's face gradually disappeared at this time. Instead, there is an appearance that keeps people at a distance. Why are you here? What's wrong? I still have to go to class. With just this simple sentence, Yu Qing was blocked from saying anything else. Su Li. I really like you. It doesn't matter if you don't want to be with me. You've already taken 99 steps towards me. Let me take this last step. Yu Qing's eyes gradually became moist at this moment, and she raised her head stubbornly and stared into Su Li's eyes. Even if you have decided to retreat now, it doesn't matter. If you take one step back, I will take one step after you. I can also take 99 steps or even 100 steps towards you. I'll wait for the day when you accept me. Yu Qing stuffed the thing in her hand into Su Li's arms, put her hands on her face, turned around and ran away. Su Li lowered his head to take a look at the thing in his hand and found that it was an exquisite iron box. Gently open the box and there is a breakfast inside. Although it is not very pretty. But the refreshing aroma also shows that the person who made this breakfast put a lot of effort into it. It's all over, it's all gone, it's just a routine operation with nothing exciting to watch. If any female classmate wants to pursue our Su Li, you can add my WeChat. Or if you want to pursue Su Li's roommate, you can come to me. Zhao Jian, who was standing by, took out the QR code business card on his mobile phone and walked around while dispersing the people who were watching the fun. But I have to say that Su Li's appeal is indeed very strong. There were actually a few freshman girls who shyly scanned Zhao Jian's QR code business card and turned away. A major discovery. I discovered a major business opportunity. Su Li's appeal and influence in the school are absolutely unique. According to this opportunity, some girls want to get close to Su Li, and we can help them. Maybe, I, Zhao Jian, can take this opportunity to end my celibacy. Zhao Jian held his chin, stood there with his eyes narrowed and grinned foolishly, but he was hit hard on the back of his head. Don't dream here. Can anyone who likes Su Li like you? Go to class quickly. Su Li has already left. Chen Zhu left these words and followed closely after Su Li. Li Jianghe on the side looked at Zhao Jian helplessly and walked forward quickly. Wait for me. Putting aside his fantasies, Zhao Jian hurriedly chased after him. However, no one saw what happened just now. A figure not far away was staring at Su Li and biting his lips lightly. Jinna, what are you looking at? Class is about to start, let's go. A girl nearby called out to the girl, and the girl came to her senses and left with the girl. Su Li had just sat down in the classroom. A male classmate walked up to Su Li mysteriously and threw an envelope in front of Su Li. What is this? Seeing the envelope in front of him, Su Li looked towards the classmate in confusion. Just now someone came outside and asked me to give it to you. I don't know what it is. After saying this, the boy hurried back to his seat. Chapter 17, Weird Threatening Letter. No way, I just came to the classroom and I received another love letter. I feel like we can all develop an industry and package Su Li into a star in our school. Then we can get all the autographs and fan club stuff done. Zhao Jian looked at the white envelope in Su Li's hand and expressed his suggestion for packaging Su Li. However, Su Li did not take it seriously. After opening the envelope, Su Li saw the expressions written inside and became amused and helpless. The envelope contained a threatening letter. But the funniest thing about this threatening letter is that it is neither typed nor handwritten. It turned out that someone cut out the words from the newspaper one by one and pasted them crookedly on it. If it were placed somewhere else with a different content, it might be quite scary. But facing this threat, Su Li really wanted to laugh. Stay away from Chin Xin, or I'll break your legs. After reading the contents of the letter word by word, Zhao Jian withdrew his gaze. Where did this idiot come from? There is actually someone like him. What a joke. Chin Xian's heart is mine. Zhao Jian curled his lips and didn't take it seriously at all. Su Li didn't take it seriously either. I threw the letter into the trash can. Su Li lowered his head and saw the problem in front of him, the breakfast that Yu Qing brought over. After hesitating for a long time, Su Li decided to eat this breakfast. Not for any other reason, just because he had sent so many breakfasts to Yu Qing before. Having a meal can be considered as a way to make back the money. When Su Li started to eat breakfast, the classmate who had just delivered the letter to Su Li appeared in a hidden location in the teaching building. Not long after, a student with a slicked back hair and a very arrogant manner appeared in front of the boy. Did you bring the letter I asked you to bring? The man with slicked back hair put his hand on Su Li's shoulder and asked directly about delivering the letter. It turned out that the letter was given to Su Li by the man with the slicked back hair. I've already delivered it. The classmate nodded cautiously to the man with the slicked back hair, as if afraid of making him unhappy. That guy is so scared, isn't he? Is he scared just by the sight of me? Unexpectedly, the expression on the man's face turned into a smug one. He glanced in the direction of a few classmates who looked like younger brothers coming over from behind. Their whole person is very cocky. Su Li threw the letter into the trash can. Where is he having breakfast now? After honestly telling the man with the slicked back hair about Su Li's situation, Su Li shrank back. He is really going to the toilet with a lantern. He is looking for death. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being rude to you. Upon hearing this, the man with the slicked back hair clenched his fists tightly. Brother, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. I asked the student with the slicked back hair tentatively, and he acted very timidly. Go away. The man with the slicked back hair waved his hand and chased the classmate away. He passed by Suli's classroom door with a group of people and gave Suli a vicious look through the window. When Suli turned his head to look out the window, the man with the slicked back hair had already left. I said, "How did Xiaoli get into such a mess again? Didn't we send 2 people over to you? Is it possible that you can't even handle a few students now?" Inside a bar called the Red Pavilion, a big bald head with a gold chain as thick as a thumb hanging around his neck was sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed. In front of him, Brother Wolf, who had a grudge against Suli, stood in front of him with his head lowered, his face bruised and swollen. "Boss, it's not that I can't deal with that kid, it's that I can't deal with Qin Xuanhu. That Qin Xuanhu always comes out to cause trouble for me. Last time I said I would give him money to settle the matter, but who knew that guy was actually a rich guy and he directly gave Qin Xuanhu 200,000 yuan. Qin Xuanhu chased me away. What Brother Wolf couldn't understand the most was why a student would just take out 200,000 yuan so casually. What about this time? You brought so many people with you this time, and I even asked you to bring Li Hu and Zhang Long with you. Didn't you not fight in the bar? Could it be that Qin Xuanhu came out to cause trouble? The owner of the Red Pavilion bar has a big gold chain." Fang Zhongjing raised his hand and slapped the sofa, pointing at Brother Wolf, and asked back, "I don't know how Qin Xuanhu knew I was there to take care of those guys. I told you last time that Suli knows Kung Fu. Zhang Long and Li Hu had him pinned down. Just when they were about to capture him, Qin Xuanhu and his men rushed in. He beat us up without saying a word." Brother Wolf covered his face, feeling very aggrieved. He glanced at Fang Zhongjing's face out of the corner of his eyes, and a hint of ruthlessness suddenly flashed across his face. "Brother, not only that," Qin Xuanhu also said. Chapter 18, Invitation to Form a Team. Someone in the class exclaimed. Everyone's eyes turned towards the classroom door. After seeing Qin Xian's intention clearly, Suli also stood up from his seat. "Look, here I come to find Suli. I said that the relationship between the two of them must be special. After all, Suli is the first person to be recognized by Qin Xian for singing on stage. But isn't Yu Qing also pursuing Suli?" When Suli stood up and walked towards Qin Xian, the people around him whispered to each other, discussing the relationship between Suli and Qin Xian. "Are you looking for me?" At the classroom door, Suli stood in front of Qin Xian and asked her purpose. Just the 2 people standing at the door are definitely a beautiful scenery. "Yes, I have something to ask you. I signed up for a singing competition in 2 days. This competition requires a group to participate. I would like to invite you to join the team." Qin Xian stood in front of Suli, looking a little different from the carefree look she had when she first met Suli. This time, he seemed a little shy and reserved. "I heard that the prize money this time is 100,000 yuan. If we can win, we can split it equally between the 2 of us." Seeing that Suli didn't react, Qin Xian quickly told the rewards for winning this competition. 100,000 yuan is indeed a lot. For a college student, this 100,000 yuan is enough to cover a student's living expenses and tuition fees for 4 years at school. Even life can be very comfortable. Let me think about it. But Suli acted very calm and just nodded slightly. "Well, if you hurry up and sign up, it will close tomorrow." Seeing Suli's uninterested look, Qin Xian was dejected and turned around to leave. But at this moment, a long voice came from behind Qin Xian. The owner of the voice was Suli. "Miss Qin, if you agree to attend the thank you dinner that our dormitory has prepared for you in the evening, I can just agree to it." Suli had never intended to reject Qin Xian. This time, Qin Xian brought Qin Xuanhu to rescue everyone in their dormitory. Suli's original intention was to invite Qin Xian to dinner to express his gratitude. But Qin Xian refused Suli's invitation. Now that there was such an opportunity, Suli naturally made this request again. "Okay, then we have a deal." Qin Xian turned around gracefully and gave Suli a thumbs up. Then Qin Xian put a piece of paper with a phone number on it into Suli's hand. "Now I'm going to prepare some things for the competition. The phone number is my contact information. Send me some of your basic information, and then we'll contact each other by phone in the evening. Qin Xian made a phone call gesture to Su Li and left Su Li's classroom. When Su Li walked back to the classroom, a resentful gaze was fixed on Su Li not far behind him. Damn, this guy is really having an affair with my goddess. Qin Xian's heart is mine, no one of you can get it. The figure that appeared here naturally had a slicked back hair. Soon the second class began. Su Li and his classmates have fewer courses in this major. There are only 2 classes in the morning today. After class, Su Li and 3 others walked back to the dormitory together. Su Li and his 3 companions never eat at mealtimes on weekdays, in Zhao Jian's words. Only a fool would try to snatch it from others. As soon as he walked downstairs to the dormitory building, Su Li saw the aunt downstairs holding a special package in her hand and standing there looking around. This package looked very familiar. Su Li frowned and just walked over, when he saw the aunt downstairs waving at him. You are living a very comfortable life, with someone bringing you food every day. You said you were a grown man. You have arms and legs, and you have a little girl bring you food every day. The way the aunt looked at Su Li was as if she was looking at a gigolo. Taking the package from the aunt downstairs, Su Li sighed helplessly. Brother Li, who brings you meals every day? If I'm not mistaken, these cookies were made by the same person as the other day. After touching the package in Su Li's arms twice, Zhao Jian leaned over and asked Su Li. I don't even know who sent this thing. Please keep an eye out for me in the next 2 days. Su Li looked around but did not find any familiar figures. He sighed, turned around and followed the 3 people back to the dormitory. The package delivered today contained a delicious beef rice. As soon as they opened it, the smell made the 3 wolves in the dormitory's eyes light up. Brother Li, what do you want to eat for lunch? I'll pay for your lunch. I will gladly accept this beef rice. Zhao Jian looked righteous and reached out to take the beef rice from Su Li's hand. Want to eat? Go buy it yourself. Su Li dodged the palm that Zhao Jian extended with a slight move. Don't be so stingy. We agreed at the beginning that we would share the good times and the bad times together. While speaking, Zhao Jian's eyes remained on the beef rice. Zhao Jian, I have to say a few words now. As the saying goes, a friend's wife should not be cheated, let alone a meal sent by someone else. Chen Zhu, who was standing by, came out and put his hand on Zhao Jian's shoulder with a serious look on his face. So what do you think we should do? Zhao Jian turned his head and asked Chen Zhu next to him. I have decided today not to be friends with Su Li, so let me bear this matter for you. Chen Zhu's true colors were immediately revealed in his next sentence. What are you guys still arguing about? I've already started. Su Li picked up the chopsticks and took 2 bites of food before reminding the 2 of them. Su Li? When the 2 saw Su Li eating with relish, their faces changed at the same time and they were about to pounce on Su Li. Brother Hui, don't worry. I will definitely do what you arrange. In a corner of Qingjiang campus, a man with a slicked back hair put a stack of red banknotes in the hands of a student. The student had an excited expression on his face. He counted the banknotes in his hand and nodded to the man with the slicked back hair. Okay, I'll leave this matter to you. After leaving these words, the man with slicked back hair turned around and walked away. The man with the slicked back hair who gave the money was the monitor of Su Li's class. As for what the 2 people discussed specifically, no one knows. In the dormitory, Su Li finished his meal and was about to take a nap. The phone next to my ear suddenly vibrated. The goddess of the canyon, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and log in. Su Li, miss, it's lunchtime, aren't you going to let me take a break? Canyon goddess, aren't games played during rest time? Playing games is also a way to rest. Su Li, there is something I want to ask you before playing the game. Chapter 19, Their House Goddess. Someone gave him a computer, but Su Li didn't even know the girl's name. The goddess of the canyon, great god, you say. Su Li, I don't even know your name, your major, or your class. Su Li, how much is your computer? I will give you the money tomorrow. As the saying goes, a man who eats someone's food will be soft-hearted, and a man who receives someone's gifts will be obliged to give back. Besides, Su Li is not short of money now, so he doesn't want to take advantage of this. Female warrior of the canyon, I can tell you the name, but since the computer is a gift from me, you don't have to be polite to me. The goddess of the canyon, I want to tell you my major or class. This sentence appeared on the mobile phone screen. The girl on the other end paused and then sent her name. Qiu Yubing. Su Li walked towards the computer with his cell phone in hand, repeating the girl's name in a low voice. Su Li, what did you say? Chen Zhu, who was playing games nearby, suddenly started and looked in the direction of Su Li. Qiu Yubing, she's the girl who came to play games with me and gave me a computer that day. Seeing that Chen Zhu seemed to know this girl, Su Li repeated her name. My goodness, this is totally unjust and it's simply not going to let people survive. But when Su Li repeated the name, Chen Zhu actually wailed to the sky. What happened? Looks like there's more to eat. Zhao Jian, who was standing by, suddenly jumped up from the bed. You guy, do you know who gave Su Li the computer? Do you know who the person was who played games with you that day? Chen Zhu asked two questions in a row, leaving Zhao Jian stunned. Why don't you just speak frankly? I can't guess what you are saying if you play dumb with me. Zhao Jian didn't hear the name Su Li said just now. Qiu Yubing. One of the four beauties of Qingjiang, the goddess of otakus, Qiu Yubing. As soon as Chen Zhu said this introduction, the whole dormitory became quiet. Fuck. I'll go. Two excited voices came from the mouths of Zhao Jian and Li Jianghe. Su Li? You have to treat me to a meal. She is one of the four beauties of Qingjiang and the goddess of many otakus. I didn't even know her face wasn't in the photo that day. I'm in big trouble now. Zhao Jian grabbed Su Li's arm, with an extremely sad expression on his face, and asked Su Li to treat him to a meal. Please, no problem, but who is this Qiu Yubing? Why is it the same as Qin Xian back then, as if you all know her? Su Li was a little puzzled why these people seemed to know every girl they mentioned. It's not that we all know them, it's just that they are too famous. Now 3 of the 4 beauties of Qingjiang are related to you. If the last one also has something to do with you, I will kill myself. Zhao Jian sat there and sighed, while saying this in the direction of Su Li. I'll do my best to save your life. Su Li left this sentence and sat down next to the computer. Fortunately, when Su Li left today, he had already downloaded the game. I logged in quickly, put on my headphones, and the game started soon after. Victory after victory made Su Li feel that playing games was boring. Qiu Yubing on the other side. Very exciting indeed. Just when Su Li was fighting fiercely in the dormitory, Brother Wolf and Fang Zhongjing had already arrived outside Su Li's school. Brother, I don't know anyone in this school, and we can't get into the school. But recently that boy and his friends come out often. We'll just stay here and we'll definitely be able to catch him. Brother Wolf touched his chin twice and pointed to the Qingjiang gate in the distance through the car window. At this moment, outside the gate, there were 3 vans behind a black BMW. These are all people brought here by Fang Zhongjin. Today I'm not only looking for Su Li, I'm also looking for Qin Xuanhu. It would be best if he could call Qin Xuanhu to me. Since Brother Wolf exaggerated the matter, Fang Zhongjin came here today to have a good talk with Qin Xuanhu. The person standing behind this guy is Qin Xuanhu. I don't believe Qin Xuanhu will stay out of this. I asked someone to find out, and it seems that this guy has some relationship with Qin Xuanhu's sister. Brother Wolf also did some preparation to deal with Su Li. In that case, then wait. Fang Zhongjin laid down his seat and lay directly in the car. Time quickly came to the afternoon. Su Li took his hands off the keyboard and took out his cell phone. Su Li, big sister, you've been winning all afternoon and you're almost the king. Take a rest. I have some things to do in the afternoon. Qiu Yubing, okay then, if you come back early at night, remember to send me a message. I think we can fight again in the evening. At the other end, in a girl's dormitory. Qiu Yubing took her hands off the keyboard with a look of regret and replied to Su Li's message on her mobile phone. Xiaobing, you just stay in the dormitory playing games every day. Don't you want to have a boyfriend with me? When Qiu Yubing's roommate saw that Qiu Yubing had finished the game, he came over and asked Qiu Yubing curiously. What's the point of that? Can it be as interesting as playing games? Besides, I just met a very powerful master in the past 2 days, and he is from our school. When I play games with him, my little stars keep rising one by one. Qiu Yubing had a disinterested look on her face as she asked her roommate about this matter. This answer left Qiu Yubing's roommate speechless. Who is the person from our school who plays games with you? It's okay to play games together. It would be nice if we could develop some relationship by playing games together. Seeing this, another roommate began to give Chiu Yubing some advice. I only found out he was from our school after looking at his profile. I don't know if it's true or not, but it seems her name is Su Li. Chiu Yubing took a look at her phone and told her two roommates Su Li's name. When Su Li's name was mentioned, the reactions of the girls in this dormitory and Su Li's dormitory were basically the same when they heard Chiu Yubing's name. Is this Su Li famous? Why do you all react like this? As a veteran homegirl, Chiu Yubing had no idea how famous she was in school. I don't even know what happened between Su Li and the heroine. At that time, she just felt that the name Su Li sounded somewhat familiar, as if she had heard her roommate mention it. Su Li? He is a famous romantic in our school. The girl who pursued the sophomore named heroine confessed her love to him 99 times. The most important thing is that he is very handsome. Chiu Yubing's roommate held her face and introduced Su Li to Chiu Yubing with an infatuated look. Oh. Chapter 20, The Battle of Lihu. These have nothing to do with me. He just needs to take me to play games. But Chiu Yubing's reaction was so indifferent. She only cared about whether Su Li could take her to play games. This reaction left her roommate at a loss as to what to do next. Su Li walked out of the school with his three roommates. Just now, Su Li and Chin Xin made an appointment over the phone to meet at the door of Qingjiang. Let us go eat together then. Chin Xin will talk to Su Li about the singing competition during the meal. The big brother is coming out. He is the four guys over there. After waiting for several hours, Fang Zhongjing had already fallen asleep. Brother Wolf was also confused there, but suddenly he saw a familiar figure. He suddenly woke up with a start, and after confirming something in the distance, Brother Wolf shook Fang Zhongjing excitedly. Bang! Fang Zhongjing slapped Brother Wolf in the face without saying a word. Don't you know I'm sleeping? The expression on Fang Zhongjing's face was very ferocious, which scared Brother Wolf so much that he immediately became obedient. Brother, that kid is out. Am I not afraid that he will run away? Brother, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Please calm down. After honestly admitting his mistake to Zhongjing in front of him, Brother Wolf carefully pointed his finger in the distance, in the direction of Su Li and the other three. Follow him. Fang Zhongjing knew that they must not take action at the school gate. If the fight happens at the school gate, the nature of the situation will change. After a wave of his hand, the black BMW followed Su Li and the others. Three vans followed closely behind, chasing Su Li and the others. Shock string. It's just right to meet Qin Xuanhu at the same time. Su Li and his four companions had just stopped at the door of the bar when Fang Zhongjing's three cars followed closely behind. When he saw the name of the bar, Fang Zhongjing showed a sneer on his face. Bite. System tasks have been released. Mission, Lihu Zhanfang. Protect the singer. Work together with Qin Xuanhu to deal with Fang Zhongjing and protect Qin Xianxian. Rewards will be given based on the degree of task completion. Su Li had just arrived at the bar when he suddenly heard a system notification sound outside. Fang Zhongjing. The sudden mention of this name made Su Li a little confused, as the name sounded familiar. I thought about it carefully. Su Li suddenly remembered, isn't this the name of the big brother behind him that Brother Lang mentioned that day, the owner of the Hongguan bar? Su Li, let's go. Just when Su Li was confused, Qin Xianxian walked out of the bar. Although he didn't know why the system suddenly issued this task, Su Li did not see any sign of Fang Zhongjing. Let's go. Thinking that this mission did not need to be carried out for the time being, Su Li nodded and was about to leave with a few people around him. But just as Su Li took a step to the side, there was a roar of a car coming straight towards Su Li and his group. Get out of the way. Seeing this, Su Li pushed the people around him hard. I myself am rolling over. There was a sudden sound of brakes, and a black BMW appeared directly at the place where Su Li and the others were just now. What's wrong with you? Can you drive? Didn't you see that you almost hit me? Zhao Jian was pushed by Su Li and fell to the ground. Seeing that he had embarrassed himself in front of Qin Xianxian, Zhao Jian stood up and cursed at the BMW with a very ugly look on his face. But when the three vans behind this car stopped, after a large group of people who looked difficult to deal with got off the car, Zhao Jian became a little scared. Boy, it looks like your skin is still a little loose. Do you need your wolf brother to help you again? Brother Wolf opened the car door with an arrogant look on his face and got out, pointing in Zhao Jian's direction and hooking his finger. I thought it was someone else, but it turned out to be you, a lapdog. Why do you want to touch me again? Don't you see where we are? Have you forgotten what Brother Tiger told you the other day? After seeing Brother Wolf's figure clearly, Zhao Jiqing immediately felt confident again. Because he still remembered what Qin Xuanhu said that day. Qin Xuanhu had already told Brother Wolf in front of him that Brother Wolf was not allowed to appear in the area near the bar. They also don't allow Brother Wolf to do anything to them. Brother who? Are you talking about Qin Xuanhu? It's not his turn to be arrogant today. If you don't agree, you can just call him out. With a disdainful expression on his face, Brother Wolf opened the car door next to him and Fang Zhongzheng walked out. This is my eldest brother, the owner of the Hong Kong bar. Boy, aren't you awesome? Show me how awesome you can be today. Chapter 21, Rage Potion. Qin Xin ran into the bar and found Qin Xuanhu. After taking 2 deep breaths, he raised his finger towards Qin Xuanhu and pointed outside. Someone is causing trouble again. Looking for trouble with you. Qin Xuanhu was stunned for a moment, and didn't react. It was Fang Zhongzheng who came to him. It's that wolf brother. Bring his boss, find something, over here. Pulling Qin Xuanhu's arm, Qin Xin walked outside. Brothers, it's time to work. Qin Xuanhu yelled at the top of his lungs and followed Qin Xin out of the bar. As soon as he went out, he saw Fang Zhongzheng looking at him. What brought Boss Fang to our side today? Qin Xuanhu sneered, walked to Su Li's side, and looked at Fang Zhongzheng's face. Brother who is so powerful. He can deal with anyone he wants in Qingjiang now. Fang Zhongzheng met Qin Xuanhu's gaze, and his words were obviously intended to cause trouble for Qin Xuanhu. Boss Fang, if you have anything to say, just tell me. We are all busy people and don't have time to talk about these useless things here. What do you want to do by bringing Fang Zhongzheng and Wolf Brother here? Everyone knows it. Qin Xuanhu, did you think it was 2 days ago? What do you say about you beating me up? And this kid, he's a poor student from Qingjiang next to you. Why are you protecting him like this? Why do you have to interfere in my affairs with him? Fang Zhongzheng winked at Wolf Brother next to him. Wolf Brother was the one who used the gun that Fang Zhongzheng used to cause trouble for Qin Xuanhu today. He jumped out and pointed at Qin Xuanhu and started shouting. Brother Tiger, if you find today's incident troublesome, I can handle it myself. Su Li didn't want to trouble Qin Xuanhu. In the current situation, Su Li believed that all that was needed was for Qin Xuanhu to protect Zhao Jian and the others and leave. He can handle this matter alone. Can't I run away if I can't win? Fine. Qin Xuanhu patted Su Li on the shoulder and said with a smile. There are 2 reasons why I'm punishing you for this matter. First, you were causing trouble in my bar, and the boss asked me to come here to maintain the peace in his bar. Second, I've already told you what I, Qin Xuanhu, said. Do you think I'm just talking nonsense? Qin Xuanhu narrowed his eyes, put away the smile on his face, and his tone became fierce at this moment. I told you not to cause trouble for this kid in this area. You refused to listen. You come to trouble him just to show disrespect to me. You can do whatever you want to him in other places. But you just had to step on my face. Qin Xuanhu turned his gaze in the direction of Fang Zhongzheng. Boss Fang, do you think I, Qin Xuanhu, should I have this face or not? After saying this, Fang Zhongzheng's expression turned a little ugly. For people like them, what matters most is the face. Fang Zhongzheng came to cause trouble for Qin Xuanhu today just for his face. Don't talk nonsense. You beat my brother and you are just denying face to me, Fang Zhong. He has clearly already reported my name, and you still want to deal with him. Where does this face go? Knowing that there was nothing to talk about with Qin Xuanhu at this point, Fang Jingjing took a step towards Qin Xuanhu. What do you want? Just do it. After Qin Xuanhu said this, the atmosphere on the field suddenly became tense. Good. There was no unnecessary nonsense, just one simple word, and Fang Zhongzheng raised his hand. A large group of younger brothers behind him also took a step forward at the same time. You must take good care of Boss Fang today. Don't let him think that we look down on him. As soon as Qin Xuanhu finished speaking, someone on either side shouted first, and the 2 brothers rushed towards each other. However, although the number of people is basically the same. But Qin Xuanhu's side was clearly at a disadvantage. It was simply because besides Zhang Long and Li Hu, Fang Zhongzheng also had another person who was also very skilled. Su Li looked at Zhao Jian and the other two beside him. After hesitating for a while, he said to the three people, "You three stay here to protect Qin Xian. I'll go and lend a hand to Brother Hu. After all, this matter was caused by me." Su Li was not willing to stand idly by. After saying that, Su Li rolled up his sleeves and walked directly into the crowd. Chen Xuanhu also saw that the people in front of him were at a disadvantage. He threw away his coat and walked towards the crowd with Su Li on the left and right. Su Li and Qin Xuanhu's targets are very clear. Su Li's target is Zhang Long and Li Hu. And Qin Xuanhu is the last one. "We didn't have enough fun fighting each other, let's do it again this time." With a smile on his face, Su Li greeted Zhang Long and Li Hu in the distance, jumped high and punched directly at Zhang Long. However, it was obvious from the last fight that these two people could not do anything to Su Li, and Su Li could not do anything to these two people either. The three of them fought in a group, and the situation was very stalemate for a while. But Su Li didn't want to be stuck like this. After all, Qin Xuanhu didn't gain any advantage over there. If this continues, they will definitely be dealt with by Fang Zhongzheng today. But now Su Li can only use his own system. After opening the system, Su Li fought with the two men while glancing back and forth at the system with the corner of his eyes. Rage Potion. When Su Li's eyes passed over the reinforcement column, he suddenly found something called Berserk Agent, which was worth 80 soft rice points. After blocking Li Hu's punch, Su Li quickly glanced at the introduction of the item. The Berserker can double Su Li's physical indicators within 30 minutes. Name, Su Li. Constitution. Intelligence. Charm. He glanced at his information panel. Su Li gritted his teeth and directly chose to buy the Berserk Agent. Pay 80 soft rice points, the violent drug has been received, do you want to use it immediately? The system screen bar flashed and an option appeared. Use immediately. Su Li said these 4 words out of the blue, which made Zhang Long and Li Hu stunned for a moment. The two did not understand what Su Li meant. But the next second Su Li used practical actions to tell the two of them what the result was after he said this. Su Li only felt a sudden cold feeling in his mouth, and the next second his body became extremely hot. Su Li felt as if he had endless energy. Name, Su Li. Constitution. Intelligence. Charm. The most exaggerated effect of this berserker is that it can even enhance one's own charm. The fight here naturally attracted a lot of people's attention. Su Li's skills were as smooth as flowing water. In a flash he began to suppress Li Hu and Zhang Long. There was a burst of cheers from the side. Chapter 22, Big Brother Fang Zheng. Did you see that? That's Su Li from our school. He's my idol, so handsome. A girl covered her face and introduced Su Li to another girl next to her with shining eyes. It's so cool, is this the legendary martial arts? It turns out that someone is secretly practicing martial arts behind our backs. He can handle 2 strong men so easily by himself. I want to give him a baby. The eyes of the other girl also became a little blurry at this time, and she even seemed to have fallen into fantasy. He seems to be even more powerful than last time. In the distance, Qin Xuanxin's eyelashes twitched slightly when Su Li kicked Li Hu in the face with a whip kick. Brother Li, well done. Yohu. This whip kick is so handsome. The ancients were not deceiving me. A gentleman takes action instead of talking. In the distance, Zhao Jian and the other two were gesticulating and shouting excitedly. Su Li didn't notice that there was also a beautiful figure on the street at this moment, and her eyes were also fixed on Su Li. Jinna, this Su Li is so handsome. Next to the girl, another woman said something to her like a crazy fan. I know. I've always known. The woman smiled gently and her eyes never left Su Li. A high side kick hit Li Hu's head, and Li Hu was obviously dizzy from Su Li's kick. He shook his head and took 2 steps back. At this moment, Zhang Long saw this and rushed towards Su Li with his fist. But this time Su Li raised his hand and grasped his fist in his palm. Before Zhang Long could react, Su Li exerted force with his palm. With a scream, Zhang Long twisted his palm and knelt on the ground. Su Li's strength had already been enhanced, and now he possessed nearly 3 times the strength of an ordinary person. How could Zhang Long and Li Hu in front of him stop Su Li? After dealing with these 2 people, the remaining people, as long as they appeared in front of Su Li, would be knocked to the ground by Su Li in just a few moves. As for Qin Xuanhu, it is no exaggeration to say that he can be the big brother. He is different from Fang Zhongjing. Fang Zhongjing is rich, but Qin Xuanhu has real strength. Qin Xuanhu's opponent was also dealt with by Qin Xuanhu, but Qin Xuanhu looked a little miserable at this time. Su Li and Qin Xuanhu's goals at this time were surprisingly similar. They were Fang Zhongjing and Brother Lang, who were standing at the back of the crowd. "Brother, these two guys are too fierce, let's run." With a fearful expression on his face, Brother Wolf made a suggestion to Qin Xuanhu. "What are you afraid of? If I leave today, where will I put my face in the future? Don't worry, I don't believe that Qin Xuanhu really dares to touch me." Although his younger brothers had been dealt with, Fang Zhongjing was not afraid at all, but still stood firmly in place. "What do you want to do? I'm telling you, don't come over here." Although Fang Zhongjing is confident, Brother Wolf is not. When Brother Wolf saw Qin Xuanhu and Su Li appear in front of him, he hid behind Fang Zhongjing in fear and shouted at them. "Brother Wolf, aren't you here to punish me today? How can you punish me if you hide behind your big brother?" Qin Xuanhu smiled playfully as he looked towards. He hooked his finger in the direction of Wolf Brother in front of him. "Qin Xuanhu, you are indeed powerful. I was defeated by you today. But our relationship is not over so easily. We have already formed a feud today." Fang Zhongjing raised his fleshy face and looked at Qin Xuanhu in front of him. At this time, he did not forget to say something harsh to Qin Xuanhu. "I know Boss Fang is conceited, but do you think you can leave here so easily today? Are you still planning to go back and gather some people and pick a good day to come and deal with me?" Fang Zhongjing's reaction did not surprise Qin Xuanhu. Qin Xuanhu lowered his head and touched his fist twice. When he raised his head, a meaningful smile appeared on his face. "Boss Fang, I, Qin Xuanhu, usually do things by wiping out the roots. Today I will let Boss Fang know how powerful I, Qin Xuanhu, am. This way, when Boss Fang wants revenge in the future, he will know the consequences of offending me." As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Xuanhu was ready to attack Fang Zhongjing in front of him. "Qin Xuanhu, you can touch me, but you have to think it through. I, Fang Zhongjing, will not be bullied so easily. If you had touched me today, have you ever thought about how you would cope if my eldest brother knew about it?" Fang Zhongjing was not afraid at all when Qin Xuanhu lifted him up by the collar. Instead, he mentioned his elder brother to Qin Xuanhu in front of him with a look of disdain. Su Li, who was standing aside, originally thought that if Qin Xuanhu took his status into consideration and attacked Fang Zhongjing in front of him, then he would do it himself. Now the big brother that Fang Zhongjing was talking about made Qin Xuanhu frown. Let Su Li realize that there must be someone powerful behind Fang Zhongjing. Chapter 23, Elbows Turned Outward. As for Brother Wolf next to him, Su Li did not let him go either. He grabbed the collar of Brother Wolf who was about to escape and pulled him back. Su Li also made close contact with Wolf Brother's face with his fist. After beating up the two men, Su Li stopped with satisfaction. "Get out of my sight now, or I don't mind sending you two to lie in the hospital for a few days." After saying this in an impolite tone, Su Li turned around and nodded in the direction of Qin Xuanhu. As for Fang Zhongjing, Brother Wolf and his subordinates, they fled into the car in panic and left the place without looking back. "You were a little impulsive today. Fang Jing is not someone you can easily deal with. This person has some means, and he has some spare money. He is ruthless and will do anything to achieve his goals. If you treat Fang Zhongjing like this today, Fang Zhongjing will definitely seek revenge on you from his elder brother in the future." Qin Xuanhu looked at Su Li who was walking in front of him with a very serious expression at this moment, and spoke to Su Li about Fang Zheng. "I'm worried that you may not be able to handle this matter. If I were you, I would hide for a while. Don't show up outside the school for the next 2 days. No matter how powerful these guys are, they can't get into the school. They can only block you outside. Hide for a while and come out after the storm has passed." Qin Xuanhu admired Su Li in front of him very much, so he reminded Su Li about Fang Zheng. "Don't worry, Brother Hu, I have my own considerations for this matter. I'm really sorry to have caused you so much trouble. You originally had nothing to do with this Fang Zhongjing, but I dragged you into this." Su Li naturally knew that Qin Xuanhu would not lie to him about this matter. But Su Li is not really afraid of Fang Zheng. After all, Su Li is a man with a system behind him. But Su Li felt a little sorry. After all, this matter had nothing to do with Qin Xuanhu. Qin Xuanhu had been helping him from the beginning to the end. I'm not helping you, I'm just helping my sister. Besides, I am protecting my own face. You don't have to be polite to me about this matter, kid. After saying this, Brother Hu smiled and patted Su Li on the shoulder twice, then turned around and prepared to leave. Brother, today's incident was all thanks to Su Li. Did you see how powerful he is? Qin Xianxian completely ignored Qin Xuanhu's contribution, walked to Qin Xuanhu's side, and demonstrated to Qin Xuanhu twice the powerful methods that Su Li had used today. Okay, he's awesome, he's the best, but I'm the only one who's not awesome, okay. Now that this little sister has grown up, her elbows are bent outwards. Qin Xuanhu looked at Qin Xianxian in front of him with helplessness. How could I be so tactful? I just say what I think. Brother, remember to tell Mom when you go back. I'll be back late tonight, and I'll go out for dinner with Su Li and the others. When Qin Xianxian saw Su Li making a gesture for eating to him from a distance, he nodded to Su Li and then greeted Qin Xuanhu. Alas, it looks like this little sister is about to become someone else's. Okay, go ahead. Be careful outside. Call me if anything happens. I'll wait for you in the bar. I just went back a little later last time. He waved to Qin Xianxian in front of him. Qin Xuanhu sighed as he led his men back to the bar. All of his brothers were injured today, so he had to take them back for treatment. Let's go. He walked to Su Li, put his hands in his trouser pockets, and made a handsome gesture towards Su Li. Su Li took Qin Xianxian, Zhao Jian and others and walked towards a place. Let's go eat too. The figure who had been paying attention to Su Li in the distance greeted his companion beside him. Then he followed not far behind Su Li. After some discussion, a few people decided to go eat hot pot. We are going to have some fun today. I have some spare money. Today we will not go to the best place but the most expensive one. Su Li waved his hand and led a few people towards the most expensive hot pot restaurant near Qingjiang. The average consumption per person in this store is around 700 to 800 yuan on weekdays, which is definitely a considerable expense for students in the school. Some students don't even dare to think about this place. However, this store is expensive for a reason. As soon as he entered, he saw the luxurious chandelier which almost made Zhao Jian shed tears on the ground. Then someone from the store took Su Li and the others to a place that looked relatively quiet. A few people quickly ordered their dishes and then waited quietly for them to be served. At this moment, Li Jianghe pushed his glasses and poked Su Li's waist with his finger. Su Li, do you think that person looks like our music elective teacher? Following the direction of Li Jianghe's finger, everyone looked over and saw a man and a woman sitting in a seat not far away. The woman has bright eyebrows, white teeth, big wavy hair that falls to her shoulders, and a hip skirt that shows off her proud figure. This person is Su Li and his classmate's music elective class teacher, Wen Qing. Who is that guy? I didn't expect he could hook up with our teacher Wen. Zhao Jian moved closer to Su Li, glanced twice in the direction of Wen in the distance, and an unhappy expression appeared on his face. It was as if something of his own had been taken away. It must be his boyfriend. Teacher Wen just came back from studying abroad and is not much older than us. Why do you have to take care of this matter? Chen Zhu, who was standing by, raised his hand and patted Zhao Jian on the back of his head, pulling Zhao Jian back to his seat. Su Li, what do you think about my request to see you? It's not about the singing competition, can you tell me when we have dinner? Just when the few of them had just finished discussing this topic, Qin Xianxian raised her hand and slapped the table. I asked Su Li about participating in a singing competition together. Of course it's no problem. Didn't we already agree on this? You can arrange the whole thing. I'll do whatever you say. I am just one of our bricks, I will be moved wherever I am needed. Su Li raised his hand and patted his chest, assuring Qin Xianxian in front of him about this matter. I know you agreed to this, and I've already registered your name. It's too late for you to regret now. But I can't handle this by myself. We haven't even decided on a name for our group yet. Qin Xianxian rolled her eyes at Su Li and gave him an example. Wait a minute, Zhao Jian, Su Li, wait a moment, look over there. Damn. What is this kid doing? Chapter 24, Stealing Wine. The implication of rejection was very obvious. Bite. System tasks have been released. Task, help the teacher. Stop the teacher from drinking the cup. Task reward 100 soft rice points. Just when Su Li was about to turn around and leave without getting entangled here any longer, a system task suddenly came into Su Li's ears. The reward for helping Qin Xuanhu defeat Fang Zhongxing during the day just arrived. Another task came immediately. This task made Su Li pause for a moment. After thinking quickly in his mind, Su Li immediately came up with an idea. Su Li suddenly turned around. Under the gazes of Qin Xianxian and the other three, he ran back to Wen Qing's table. He snatched the wine glass that Wen Qing was already holding in her palm. He tilted his neck back and drank it in one gulp. "I'm sorry, teacher. I'm so thirsty. I'll have a drink from you. I'll pay you back later." After leaving these words, Su Li turned around and left in a leisurely manner. He completely ignored Wen Qing, who was standing there in a daze, and the man who looked as if he wanted to eat someone. Looking at the wine glass left by Su Li on the table, there was still some undissolved liquid in the glass. Wen Qing suddenly frowned and glanced at the man opposite her. The man forced a smile on his face and asked Wen Qing with a puzzled look, "What's wrong? Is there anything?" After the man asked this question, he glanced at the backs of Su Li and the others. "Nothing. Let's eat. I have to go back after dinner. I have classes early tomorrow morning." Wen Qing shook her head slightly, then picked up the chopsticks on the table. "Su Li, your actions just now were so cool. But what did that guy put in the cup? Are you feeling unwell? Why don't we go to the hospital?" After returning to their seats, Qin Xianxian first gave Su Li a thumbs up. With a concerned expression on his face, he asked Su Li, "What can I do? I don't know what that guy just put out, but judging from his appearance, he definitely has bad intentions." Chapter 25, Venus Hotel. Su Li raised his hand and looked at his palm for a few seconds. After finding that there was no unusual change in himself, he shook his head. The food ordered by Su Li and his friends was soon delivered to the table. After experiencing this incident, the few of them would always look towards Wen Qing's table from time to time while eating. However, none of them noticed that after Su Li took a few bites, his face instantly turned red. "It's hot." Putting his coat aside, Su Li picked up the tissue on the table and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Of course, hot pot is hot. This is how hot pot should be eaten. Everyone just thought that Su Li couldn't eat spicy food, so they didn't think much about it. However, at this time, Su Li felt that his eyes were gradually becoming blurred. The voice of Qin Xianxian speaking next to him seemed to be in an empty valley, echoing in his ears. Soon Su Li felt his mouth was dry and his tongue was parched. When he looked at Qin Xianxian beside him, he found that there was an indescribable feeling in his heart. Only at this moment did Su Li realize that something was wrong. "I also know what that guy put in Wen Qing's cup just now. You guys eat first, I'll leave first, I have something else to do." Knowing that staying here was definitely not a good idea, Su Li stood up and rushed to the bathroom. A few people were left confused. "I washed my face, but found that my condition had not improved." Su Li didn't even have time to say hello to the others before he hurriedly left the place. "What's going on? What happened to Su Li?" "I don't know either. I guess that girl asked him out. I think it's unlikely, it could be something else." After Zhao Jian and a few others discussed it, they didn't come up with anything meaningful. "Why don't I go take a look?" Qin Xian was a little worried about Su Li and prepared to go check it out. But he was stopped by Zhao Jian and his gang. Zhao Jian and the others just thought that Su Li was looking for someone else, so he left quickly. Several people decided to act as Su Li's wingmen. After being persuaded by Zhao Jian and others, Qin Xianxian finally sat down in her previous seat and continued eating. Su Li left the hot pot restaurant, holding his forehead, and quickly rushed towards the school. However, Su Li only felt that his consciousness was becoming more and more blurred. The hot feeling all over the body did not improve, but became more intense. He staggered out, but within 200 meters, Su Li's legs suddenly went weak and he fainted. After Su Li fainted, he immediately attracted onlookers, and at this moment, a woman walked up to Su Li. "I'm so sorry, everyone, this is my friend, he drank a little too much." The woman greeted everyone around her and then looked behind her. "Please help get him into my car." There were two other girls following behind the woman. After hearing what the woman said, the two men came over and helped her, and carried Su Li to a pink Maserati on the side of the road. "I'm not going back tonight. If the dorm manager asks, just say I went home. You two must keep this matter a secret from me. Woman with face. With a serious expression, he reminded the two people beside him about this matter. Don't worry, Jinner, but what is your relationship with Su Li? Why are you helping him like this? With puzzled expressions on their faces, the two women were a little confused about this matter. We have actually known each other for a long time, but now is not the time to talk about this. I will leave first, and you should go back early. The girl named Jinner greeted the two people next to her and got into the car. The pink Maserati roared loudly on the spot and then drove away into the distance. Venus Hotel is one of the most famous and expensive hotels in Qingjiang City. Miss. Outside the hotel. The hotel lobby manager and several waiters were standing in front of a pink Maserati with respectful looks on their faces. My friend drank a little too much. Please help take him to the presidential suite. Opening the back door of the car, the woman pointed at Su Li in the car and gave orders to the people in front of her. The lobby manager was stunned for a moment when he heard this, then he hurriedly called these people and carried Su Li into the hotel. The woman followed a few people and soon arrived at the presidential suite of the Venus Hotel. You are not allowed to tell anyone about what happened today. If you dare to tell this matter, you will bear the consequences at your own risk. When the lobby manager and several waiters were about to leave, the woman said this directly to them. Don't worry, miss. My mouth has a zipper. I will definitely not let them tell anyone about this. The lobby manager showed an awkward smile on his face. He put his hands in front of his face, nodded and bowed, and slowly backed out. After seeing the few people leave, the woman walked towards Su Li. Sitting next to Su Li, gently stroking Su Li's cheek with her fingers, the expression on the woman's face was very gentle. It's like a wife taking care of her husband who comes home drunk. But at this moment, something strange happened. Su Li grabbed the woman's arm and put his other hand on her waist. Su Li, let me go. The woman seemed a little flustered when Su Li held her in his arms. However, Su Li had lost consciousness at this time, and all his actions were subconscious. No matter how the woman resisted, she couldn't stop Su Li from approaching. This guy Su Li is going too far. You didn't come back. It's a pity that we were his wingmen, but he didn't even come back to thank us. Zhao Jian and his companions returned to the dormitory. Seeing that Su Li was not in the dormitory, Zhao Jian complained and lay down on the bed. Do you think Su Li will come back to the dormitory tonight? Chen Ju sat in his seat. With a meaningful smile on his face, he asked the two people next to him. As a general rule, I think Su Li will come back tonight. Li Jianghe held his chin and thought for a while before expressing his thoughts. I don't think so. Zhao Jian smiled mysteriously. Hiss. Su Li sat up with his hand on his forehead, feeling as if his head was about to split apart. The reason why Su Li woke up was because he was woken up by a rapid ring from his cell phone. Su Li, in a daze, picked up the phone and put it to his ear. Su Li? Where have you been? Are you planning to skip class? Zhao Jian's voice on the phone was very urgent, and Su Li was startled and looked at the time on his phone, and found that it was time for class. Chapter 26, Come to my office. What class is this? Realizing that he might have to skip class, Su Li immediately came to his senses. This is Mr. Wen's class, come quickly. Coincidentally, Su Li and his classmates' class was the same class taught by the music teacher Wen Qing whom they met last night. After hearing this, Su Li breathed a sigh of relief. It was not a big deal to skip an elective course like this. Okay, wait a minute, I'll be back soon. After leaving these words, Su Li hung up the phone. Just as Su Li was about to get up, he found that he was not in the dormitory. Looking around, Su Li unexpectedly found himself in a hotel. His clothes were neatly folded and placed aside. Raising his hands and patting his head twice, Su Li began to try hard to recall what happened last night. Su Li vaguely remembered that he seemed to be sent to this hotel by someone. The person who brought him here was a girl. Su Li couldn't remember clearly what happened afterwards. But Su Li only felt that there was an indescribable meaning in his heart. After taking a look at the clothes next to him, Su Li felt empty in his heart, as if he had missed something. A bad premonition loomed in Su Li's mind. Without hesitation, Su Li stood up, put on his clothes, left the hotel and took a taxi. The roll call has already started in this classroom. After discovering that Su Li had not arrived, Zhao Jian and others told Wenqing that Su Li was feeling a little unwell today and would be back soon after going to the hospital. Wenqing heard what Zhao Jian and the others said but didn't ask any more questions. He just nodded and ignored the matter. When Su Li returned to school, more than half of the course had passed. Soon after Su Li entered the classroom and sat next to Zhao Jian and the others, the bell for the end of get out of class rang. Su Li, come to my office. After Wenqing announced the end of get out of class, she only called Su Li. I don't think they'll deduct credits from me, right? This is the first time I've skipped class. Su Li stood up and asked the people around him with some concern. I don't think so. I wish you the best. Zhao Jian originally wanted to say that it definitely wouldn't happen, but after thinking about it, he felt that this might not be the case. Forget it. It's like talking to a cow when I tell you. After complaining quietly, Su Li quickly followed Wenqing and left the classroom. Wenqing didn't say a word to Su Li along the way. It was not until she brought Su Li into her office that a smile appeared on Wenqing's face. In Wenqing's office, no other teachers were there, only Wenqing and Su Li. Su Li, please sit down. Pointing to a stool beside her, Wenqing nodded at Su Li. Although Su Li was a little hesitant, he sat on the stool obediently. Teacher, I didn't come to class today for some special reasons. I thought Wenqing asked me to come because she wanted to tell me that I skipped class. Su Li quickly explained to Wenqing. I didn't call you here today for this. I wanted to talk about what happened last night. Thank you for what happened last night. After Su Li left, Wenqing realized that what Su Li and the others said was probably not a lie. After all, I also saw the residue in the cup. Teacher Wen, was that man yesterday really your friend? When Su Li heard Wenqing mention what happened yesterday, he curiously asked Wenqing about the identity of the man yesterday. Are you talking about Zhao Jie? He was the blind date my family arranged for me, but I didn't expect he would be that kind of person. I asked you to come here today because I wanted to ask you how you felt yesterday. Are you feeling unwell? Wenqing asked Su Li to come over, firstly because she wanted to show concern for Su Li's health. The second was to find out what Zhao Jie put in her cup yesterday. This question made Su Li not know how to answer for a moment. He always felt that a direct answer was inappropriate, and Su Li couldn't say it out loud. After hesitating for a while, Su Li told Wenqing his answer. Teacher, the guy you called Zhao Jie put a powerful sleeping powder in your cup last night. Su Li changed the name of the contents of the cup and told Wenqing in front of him. This. Su Li, are you okay? When Wenqing heard what Su Li said, she subconsciously covered her mouth. Teacher, I didn't have anything to do so I slept yesterday. I went to the hospital for a checkup this morning and that's why I'm late. With an embarrassed expression on his face, Su Li scratched the back of his head and explained to Wenqing in front of him why he was late. However, what Su Li said was true. Except for the powerful sleeping powder and the hospital, everything else was consistent with the actual situation. I'm glad you're okay. I didn't expect this guy would do such a thing. Wenqing clenched her fists, her face showing obvious anger. Thank you, Su Li, for what you did yesterday. I misunderstood you last night. I'm really sorry. After taking a deep breath, Wenqing thanked Su Li with an apologetic expression. It's okay, teacher. The only thing on Su Li's mind now was who took him away last night. Su Li remembered that he was on the road when he lost consciousness for the last time. Su Li really couldn't remember how he got to the hotel and what happened. After a moment of silence between the two, Su Li stood up first. If there's nothing else to do, I'll leave first. With a polite expression on his face, Su Li said goodbye to Wenqing in front of him. If there's anything I can help with, just come to me. Wenqing also nodded at Su Li, took out a business card of her own from the table and handed it to Su Li. After Su Li put away the business card and said goodbye, he left Wenqing's office. When he took out his cell phone, he found that he was in such a hurry that he didn't even notice the dozens of messages on it. Qiu Yubing, let us play games, boss. Qiu Yubing, where are the people? Qiu Yubing, ran away. Dozens of messages came from the same person, Qiu Yubing. At the beginning, Qiu Yubing asked Su Li where he was, and then she condemned Su Li. The general content was that Su Li took his computer and disappeared. Looking at so much information, Su Li sighed and then put his hands on the keyboard. After sending the reason why he drank too much last night, Su Li put away his phone and rushed towards the classroom. However, when Su Li returned to the classroom, he found that except for him, all other students were sitting there. The monitor of their class was standing on the podium. Su Li, go back to your seat. I have something to say. Chapter 27, Gathering. Su Li didn't think much about it when he saw this scene. He walked straight back to his position. Everyone, please pay attention. Some bad things have happened in our school recently. Some students are colluding with some idle people outside. This incident has caused extremely bad consequences. When the monitor saw Su Li return to his seat, a sneer appeared on his face. However, Su Li, who had his back to the monitor, did not notice this smile, otherwise he would know that these words were directed at him. However, Su Li was also alert. After sitting down, he frowned and his eyes stopped on the squad leader. I have reported this matter to the instructor. The instructor has also given a solution. The students involved will be given a serious warning. With a cold expression on his face, the squad leader stopped his gaze on Su Li after saying this. Su Li, this matter is about you. The instructor already knew about this matter, and it caused a very bad impact. From now on, all your scholarship rights will be revoked, and you will be given a serious warning. If this happens again in the future, you will be fired. The squad leader said these words to Su Li with a smug look on his face. The instigator of all this was the squad leader. The monitor was the student in Su Li's class who had communicated with the guy with the slicked back hair that day. And everything that happened to Su Li in recent period was shown to the squad leader. Even the fight between Su Li and Fang Zhongjing outside the school was captured by the class monitor with his cell phone. This is also why the counselor knew about this matter. The squad leader's father is a manager in the company of the man with the slicked back hair's father. It is precisely because of this reason that the guy with the slicked back hair can easily control the squad leader. How could this happen? How could the instructor know about this? Besides, this happened outside the school, right? Why would the instructor care about this? According to common sense, this incident must have been reported by someone. After Zhao Jian and the other two heard how Su Li was treated, they showed ugly expressions on their faces. I think this squad leader is the one who informed on me. He has a shifty look. I don't like him. Su Li always felt that the squad leader in front of him had a lot to do with the way he was treated, and then he said this lightly. After hearing what Su Li said, Zhao Jian and the other two showed expressions of deep agreement on their faces. I totally agree with what Su Li said. In addition to what I just said, there is one more thing. Everyone has a time to come to school, and we will organize a class party next. All students are required to participate voluntarily. Each student who wants to participate will pay a participation fee of 200 yuan. The monitor in front of the podium said this calmly. Why don't you go and rob? $200. You must be joking. $200 is my living expenses for a week. I gave it to you. What should I eat? Zhao Jian, who already disliked the squad leader, stood up. He asked in the direction of the squad leader. If you don't have money, don't participate. Didn't I tell you that? You don't have to participate. Only those who want to participate need to pay, and those who don't want to participate can just keep their money and don't have to pay. The squad leader just rolled his eyes at Zhao Jian, who was standing next to him. There was a look of disdain on his face, as if he looked down on Zhao Jian. I gave the money to the three of them. With this sudden incident, Su Li's face naturally didn't look very good. However, faced with this situation, Su Li naturally would not let Zhao Jian suffer any loss. He is so rich and powerful, no wonder he dares to cause trouble with those idle people outside. After seeing this scene, the squad leader said something in Su Li's direction in a sarcastic tone. I really want to beat this guy up. If we weren't in school, I would have let him know how powerful his brother Jian is today. Zhao Jian slammed his fist on the desk with a look of discontent on his face. Ignore him. After Su Li said this, he stood up. I will inform the class group about the next time, and I will also inform everyone of the specific location. Just as Su Li got up to leave, squad leader Su Li reminded Su Li with a cold smile. Su Li and the others returned to the classroom only after the second class started. After class, Su Li actually left directly from this place. As for Su Li's class monitor, he quickly left the classroom and walked towards an empty place in the teaching building. How's it going? The man with the slicked back hair appeared in front of squad leader Su Li. Brother Hui, I showed the teacher the video of Su Li fighting outside, and the teacher gave him a serious warning. Then I followed your arrangement and scheduled the class reunion in your party hall. When the time comes, Brother Hui, just deal with this guy however you want. With a smug expression on his face, squad leader Su Li took credit for the achievement towards the man with the slicked back hair in front of him. You did a great job on this. Don't worry, I will ask your father to promote him when I return. The man with the slicked back hair patted squad leader Su Li on the shoulder twice, then turned around and left with satisfaction. Su Li, why do all the good things happen to you? Now I want to see how you can show off in class from now on. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. After the man with the slicked back hair left, squad leader Su Li also turned around and left. It seems like this squad leader has some malicious intent in his actions. Su Li, why are you suddenly at odds with this guy? I've never heard of any signs of conflict between you two before. A few people returned to the dormitory and sat there, and Su Li heard Zhao Jian asking him. You ask me, who should I ask? Su Li answered Zhao Jian with some displeasure. Su Li was indeed in a bad mood. Regardless of what happened last night, Su Li always felt uncomfortable. Even though Su Li was suddenly targeted by someone today, he couldn't be happy. At this moment, Su Li's cell phone vibrated. Qiu Yubing, hey, where did you go? Did you run away with your computer? After seeing the message, Su Li frowned and started typing on his phone. Su Li, I had some problems today. I'm not in a good mood and don't have the mood to play games. I'm really sorry. Su Li initiated a transfer. Su Li, this is the money for your computer, you can take it. Su Li knew that he was grateful for the favor and was soft-hearted. He immediately decided to transfer the computer to the girl named Qiu Yubing. Qiu Yubing, boss, that's not what I meant. Just go and do whatever you need to do, don't worry about me. Chapter 28, Let us go. Party Hall. You guys better beat him up. You guys are all from the National Martial Arts Club. I don't think you guys are afraid of him. The man with the slicked back hair said this seriously to the people next to him, and these people also made an okay gesture to him. The fact that Su Li knew Chinese martial arts was no longer a secret in the school. The man with the slicked back hair naturally knew how powerful Su Li was, so he called on the people around him. Wow, what a big villa. I didn't expect the monitor could find such a place. Looking at the villa in front of her eyes, a girl in Su Li's class couldn't help but exclaimed. I found this place through my friends. This place should cost at least 10,000 yuan a night, and that's just the venue fee, not including food and other things. But he gave us a discount. Each of us only had to pay 200 yuan, and all the food, drinks and entertainment were included in it. Squad leader Su Li had a smug expression on his face, showing off to the people in front of him. The squad leader is awesome. At this moment, several people came up to flatter the squad leader. It's just a small matter. At this time, the squad leader turned his gaze towards Su Li's direction. Seeing that Su Li ignored him, the squad leader's expression became a little ugly. Then the squad leader led everyone into the villa. However, just after they entered, the door of the villa at the back opened again and another group of people came in. Brother Hui is here. After seeing the person coming, the squad leader quickly approached with a servile look on his face, then took a microphone and said to everyone present. Let me introduce you to everyone. This is Zhu Guanghui. He is the owner of this villa and also the boss of this party hall. He is also a classmate of ours. I was able to get this discount this time because I found him. I specially invited him to come here today to get to know everyone. Chapter 29, Kiss. The squad leader had a smug look on his face as he introduced the man with the slicked back hair who had just arrived to the people in front of him. Chen Bo, you don't have to be so polite. We are all classmates. I just come here to get close to my classmates. I just like their hustle and bustle. The man with the slicked back hair had a polite expression on his face and said these words to everyone present. I see that I get along well with everyone today, so all the food and drinks tonight are on me. Everyone can eat all the food here. The man with slicked back hair waved his hand and announced the news to everyone present, and immediately won the hearts of Su Li. When the man with the slicked back hair passed by Su Li, he looked at Su Li with a provocative look on his face. I suggest that we play a game together. When class monitor Chen Bo saw the man with slicked back hair walking over, he said this directly to the dozens of students present. Squad leader, what are you going to play? As soon as Chen Bo finished speaking, someone below started to make a fuss. After hearing this, Chen Bo showed a more satisfied expression on his face. Truth or dare, everyone vote, one person at a time. Chen Bo had already thought of this game and made all the arrangements. Several people would come out to trick Su Li. Su Li himself had no interest in such activities, but since everyone was in the same class, Su Li thought about joining in. Su Li had already agreed with the 3 people in the dormitory to show up here for a while, and the 4 of them left this place. When they heard that they were going to play games, Zhao Jian and his friends became interested. Su Li, is there anyone next to you? Just as Su Li was sitting there watching everything coldly, a girl suddenly walked up to Su Li. This person is the beauty in Su Li's class, Xu Qianqian. Although there were many people in the class who were willing to work for him, Su Li didn't have a good impression of Xu Qianqian from the bottom of his heart. The reason is simple: this person often does things that are disgusting. Xu Qianqian is a typical fence-sitter. She will stick to whoever is powerful and popular. As far as Su Li knew, Xu Qianqian had had at least a dozen boyfriends since she came to this school. Not only that, each of them is a rich second generation, and each one is only richer than the previous one. I heard that Xu Qianqian just broke up recently. I didn't expect that Xu Qianqian would come close to me. Logically speaking, someone like Su Li, who only has good looks, would never catch the eye of Xu Qianqian. Why did Xu Qianqian suddenly come close to Su Li? There are people here. Su Li had a vigilant expression on his face as he said this rudely to Xu Qianqian beside him. After these words were spoken, Xu Qianqian, who was originally full of confidence, was stunned for a moment. Student Su, isn't there anyone sitting next to you now? After hearing this, Xu Qianqian was still a little unwilling and asked Su Li another question. Just because there isn't one now doesn't mean there won't be one later. Su Li glanced at Xu Qianqian's face calmly and said this to her. Student Su, you are. Isn't there any misunderstanding about me? If you have any misunderstandings about me, I think we can have a good chat. Nothing will happen if we talk it out. Xu Qianqian stood aside and asked Su Li in front of her in a very aggrieved tone. There's no misunderstanding. I just don't want anyone else to sit next to me. Really not wanting to get entangled with it, Su Li stood up, left this sentence, then turned around and walked towards the other empty seat next to him. And at this moment, Su Li suddenly heard someone calling his name. First, second, and soon almost everyone was calling Su Li's name. Su Li turned his head puzzledly and looked in the direction of the crowd, only to see that everyone's eyes were focused on him. Su Li, everyone has chosen you to be the first to participate in the game. Choose one of the truth or dare games. Chen Bo held the microphone and said this to Su Li in front of him. Hearing this, Su Li frowned slightly and wanted to refuse, but Zhao Jian and the other 2 came up to Su Li. Su Li, come here quickly. If you choose me later, remember to help me. Zhao Jian moved closer to Su Li and whispered something to him. When Zhao Jian said this, he glanced in the direction of a girl in the class. Seeing this scene, Su Li sighed. Big adventure. Su Li didn't want to participate, but he didn't want to spoil the fun of the people in the dormitory, so he said this. That's a great adventure. I wonder which classmate is willing to come and ask our classmate Su for this adventure. After hearing this, Uncle Chen narrowed his eyes, his expression became a little strange, and he glanced in the direction of the people below. Chen Bo had already arranged people to play a trick on Su Li. After he said this, someone immediately jumped out from below. Su Li and Xu Qianqian are a perfect match. I've always thought they are a good match. How about letting one of them kiss? I don't know who shouted this, but the next second the field suddenly became boiling. Give me a kiss, give me a kiss. When Su Li heard this teasing, his brows knitted together instantly. But when Zhao Jian and the others nearby heard these words, they all showed surprised expressions on their faces. Good boy, there is such a good thing. If I had known this, I would have chosen myself first. Don't even think about it. Do you think Xu Qianqian will agree? Su Li still has a chance. As the saying goes, everyone is equal. I think every one of us has a chance. Over there, the trio from Su Li's dormitory had already arranged a full crosstalk performance. That's not a good idea. Xu Qianqian stood there, covering her face with her hands and looking shy, and said this. Su Li just chose the big dare, and he actually chose it. All he needs is a kiss on the face. Chen Bo, who was standing by, was afraid that the world would not be in chaos, so he said this directly. I think this is a bit too much. Even if I am willing, Mr. Shu may not agree. It doesn't matter if I'm a man, but she's a girl. Su Li had a helpless expression on his face and said this to everyone present. The subtext of this sentence is to stop making fun of this matter. But the next second, Su Li himself was stunned. I do. Xu Qianqian, who was standing next to him, suddenly raised her head and said this out of the blue. As soon as Xu Qianqian said this, the atmosphere on the field instantly became boiling. Chapter 30, Learning Chinese Martial Arts. It's better not to joke about this. Facing the beauty. Su Li, on the contrary, said it with a calm expression as if he didn't take it seriously. The rejection stunned everyone present. Among those present today, 3 of Su Li's roommates are expected to have such an opportunity. How could they let go? What's more, Xu Qianqian agreed. Even though Xu Qianqian was not very good, she was still the most beautiful girl in their class. A beautiful girl who was well known in the school. After being rejected by Su Li, Xu Qianqian's face instantly turned a little ugly. However, after a strange light flashed in her eyes, she actually walked to Su Li's side. Actually, classmate Su Li doesn't want to kiss me, but I am willing to kiss classmate Su Li. Help him complete this great adventure. After all, we are all classmates here to play, so we should have some fun and no need to be restrained. With a shy smile on her face, Xu Qianqian stood on tiptoe and was about to get close to Su Li's face. Su Li was originally preparing to dodge. But at this moment, an angry voice reached everyone's ears. Wait! When the voice came out, everyone looked in the direction of the voice. I saw a man with a slicked back hair, who had gone somewhere just now, walking towards the crowd with a bottle of champagne in his hand. His face looked unusually gloomy. What are you doing? Don't you know Xu Qianqian is my girlfriend? When Zhu Guangwei with the slicked back hair appeared here, Xu Qianqian seemed to be in a panic and hurried to Zhu Guangwei's side. He took Zhu Guangwei's arm. Baby, I didn't do this willingly. It was that Su Li who insisted on choosing this one, and then everyone started to make a fuss. I don't want to spoil everyone's fun. With an aggrieved expression on her face, Xu Qianqian dressed herself up as a victim. Only after this scene happened did Su Li understand the whole situation. It feels like all of this has been a trap. When he showed up at this class reunion, they were planning to deliberately trick him. At this moment, Su Li also saw a hint of subtle gloom on Chen Bo's face. Good boy. I treated you so generously, and you're just trying to cheat me. You want to kiss my girlfriend? Who do you think you are? What Zhu Guangwei wanted was to take advantage of the situation. After hearing these words, he walked straight to Su Li. He opened his pea-sized eyes wide. It was clearly she who wanted to kiss me. I never said from the beginning that I wanted to participate in this adventure. She came out to attract attention on her own. It has nothing to do with me. If you can't take care of her, I can help you. Su Li had a disdainful expression on his face. Thinking that Zhu Guangwei had left this sentence, he turned around and prepared to leave. Baby, look at the way he talks about me. He is slandering my innocence. If I am slandered by him like this, how can I go out and meet people in the future? Xu Qianqian's face looked very ugly after hearing what Su Li said. But in a flash she was in Zhu Guangwei's arms. Using a delicate tone, like Zhu Guangwei, she acted coquettishly and complained at the same time. You let my girlfriend take advantage of you, and now you are here to slander her. If I let this matter go today, how will I, Zhu Guangwei, continue to stay in school in the future? After Zhu Guangwei said this with clenched teeth, several classmates who came over from behind him instantly surrounded Su Li. Are you preparing to attack me? You better think carefully about the consequences of attacking me. He looked around at the people around him. Su Li knew that these people must have been sent by Zhu Guangwei to deal with him. I heard that you also know some Chinese martial arts. We are from the school's martial arts club, and we just wanted to come and spar with you. The leader flexed his wrist, threw away his coat with an arrogant expression on his face, and made a starting gesture towards Su Li. The current Su Li is no better than those real masters of traditional Chinese martial arts. He could tell at a glance that the person in front of him was just a show-off with nothing in appearance. Fists and feet have no eyes. If we fight, I can't guarantee that you won't get hurt. At this time, he stretched out his palms, clasped them together and moved his wrists. Don't worry, we know about this. I dare to come to you to spar, so I am naturally mentally prepared. If you had injured a few of us today, you would have forgiven us and would not have made a big deal out of it. This is what we said and everyone present can testify to it. The leader had a very proud expression on his face. He looked as if he had Su Li in his grasp. It was as if Su Li would definitely lose to him today. Hit me. Zhu Guanghui, who recognized Su Li, couldn't wait to deal with him. He had been planning this matter for several days, just to make Su Li lose face in front of his classmates today. Then he beat Su Li severely and threatened Su Li in the end, so that Su Li would stay away from Qingjiang. I'm sorry. A shout came down. Several people from the martial arts club rushed towards Su Li. 12 Wei Tan leg. Su Li raised his hand and clasped one of the men's ankles. After taking a look at his feet, he smiled slightly. The next second, Su Li kicked the man in the chest with lightning speed. He was kicked directly and flew out, sliding 2 or 3 meters on the ground. You are still far from mastering the 12-move tan leg technique. You haven't even reached the basic level of entry. Su Li is now proficient in all kinds of Chinese martial arts and recognized this man's moves at a glance. Then try my tiger and crane dual form. After seeing this scene, another person pounced towards Su Li with a tiger claw in one hand and a crane hand in the other. Tiger and crane dual form. I think you are trying to catch a sparrow. Su Li couldn't help but comment when he saw this. Court death. When Su Li mocked him, this person felt like his tail was stepped on. He roared and attacked Su Li fiercely. However, facing this man's attack, Su Li just used one hand to take it all. That's all. I'll show you my white crane spreading its wings. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Li formed a crane's beak with one hand and hit the person in front of him twice. Su Li's 2 attacks were powerful and instantly broke the man's attack. As soon as the other 2 came over, Su Li grabbed their hands. Then Su Li used Tai Chi to throw the 2 men out to the left and right. You guys are so capable and you still want to deal with me. Why don't you all become my disciples? I can consider teaching you some of my methods. He quickly dealt with the people Zhu Guanghui had brought over. Su Li's mouth curled up in disdain. Don't move. Stop right there. Chapter 31, Nightclub. Just when Su Li turned around and was about to leave, Zhu Guanghui's roar came from behind. After hearing the roar, Su Li frowned and turned to look in the direction of Zhu Guanghui. Su Li, right? Do you know who I am? I am the son of the president of the Qingjiang City Chamber of Commerce. You have offended me, and you still want to leave like this. Today you either come over here and kowtow to me and admit your mistake, or you wait for me to punish you. Zhu Guanghui's greatest asset is his identity. After he revealed his identity, the way everyone present looked at Zhu Guanghui changed. It's more of an attempt to curry favor. At this moment, Su Li instantly became the target of public criticism. However, Zhao Jian and the other 2 stood firmly beside Su Li at this time. It turns out it's a game that relies on one's father. I thought you were very capable. Come anytime if you want to deal with me, I'll take over. After saying this, Su Li turned around and left the place with the 3 of them. I'm so pissed off. He originally wanted to use Su Li to establish his authority, but he didn't expect that not only did he fail to do so, but Su Li also slapped him hard in the face in front of everyone. Zhu Guanghui clenched his fists and looked at Su Li's back fiercely. Where are we going now? We can't go back to the dormitory now. With a questioning expression on his face, Zhao Jian looked at Su Li's face. How about going to a nightclub? Chen Zhu, who was standing by, jumped out and put forward his proposal. I've never been to a nightclub before, and I've always wanted to go there to broaden my horizons. I think this is a good suggestion. When Chen Zhu said this, Zhao Jian's eyes immediately lit up. Let's go. Su Li glanced at the faces of the 3 people in the dormitory, and nodded after seeing that they were looking at him expectantly. After all, it was because of him that these 3 people were unable to participate in the class activities today. Su Li decided to treat them all and took the 3 of them to hang out in the nightclub. Su Li hailed a car and the other 2 rushed to the most famous nightclub in Qingjiang. I've heard of this palace for a long time, but I didn't expect to have the honor of visiting this place today. He got out of the taxi with an excited expression on his face. Zhao Jian pointed to the nightclub in front of him that looked somewhat antique. The decoration style of this nightclub is surprisingly ancient, but inside it is a real nightclub. Rumor has it that the reason why this nightclub has such good business is that it can be opened in the most prosperous area of Qingjiang. The boss behind this nightclub has amazing energy. Several people arrived at the door of the nightclub and were immediately stopped by several bodyguards in black. Have you made any reservations? The bodyguard raised his hand to stop Su Li and the other three, and with a cold expression on his face, he asked them if they had any reservations. It was the first time for Su Li and his friends to come to such a place, so how could they know that they had to make reservations in advance? Then Su Li shook his head slightly. Several people stared at each other. It doesn't matter if you don't have a reservation. We have a rule here. If you don't have a reservation, there is a minimum consumption. If you can achieve the minimum, we can arrange it for you directly if you know the fee level. The bodyguard in black saw the confused looks on Su Li and the others' faces, and told them the news in a mechanical yet calm voice. How much does this minimum cost? After hearing this, Su Li asked the bodyguard in black. Anyway, he is a wealthy man now, with more than 300,000 yuan in his pocket, so he naturally straightened his back when he spoke. The minimum consumption is 2,000 yuan. But don't worry, if you can meet this standard, you won't bump into ordinary people after you go in. Of course the booth is arranged for you. After saying this, Su Li waved his hand and took out his cell phone. We've decided. Just when the three people nearby were about to persuade Su Li to leave, Su Li prepared to go in without saying a word. The bodyguard had not originally thought that Su Li and his three companions could spend money here. After all, they looked like students. But Su Li's reaction made them stunned for a moment, and then a bodyguard smiled and handed their drink list to Su Li. And it comes with a QR code for payment. Since we're out here, we have to have fun. Let's have an order of the Royal Salute set meal. With a calm expression on his face, Su Li lightly pointed at the bill and then paid directly. After the 20,000 yuan was paid, Zhao Jian at the back looked a little embarrassed. Come in, please. Su Li's clothes looked so good that the two bodyguards became more gentle towards him. He even skipped the body search and simply made a gesture of invitation to Su Li. Ansu. Chapter 32, Drink this bottle of wine. It's just us, a few beauties, sit wherever you want. After Zhao Jian stood up, he made a gesture of invitation, looking very casual. The woman did not hesitate to sit down next to Su Li and his group of friends in groups of 3 or 4. Regardless of the heavily made-up woman in the lead and the two pretty-looking companions beside her, they all gathered around Su Li. Su Li indeed moved to the side with some disgust. Handsome guys, this must be your first time in a nightclub. Why are you so reserved? Everyone comes to this place to relax, there's no need to be so restrained. Seeing this, the woman picked up the wine glass on the table and gently clinked it with the glass in Su Li's hand. He said this to Su Li with a smile. I don't really like people sitting next to me. Who knew that Su Li actually put the wine glass on the table and didn't give the woman any face at all? Handsome guy, it's better for everyone to relax a little. I know what the men in the nightclub are thinking. We're all just here for fun, why are you pretending to be so cool? Su Li's action obviously made these women unhappy. However, Su Li seemed not to have heard it. He just leaned back on the sofa and closed his eyes. You don't know how to appreciate it. The leading woman slammed the wine glass in her hand heavily on the table and stood up to leave. Zhao Jian and Chen Zhu, who were playing finger-guessing games with the woman's other companions, were stunned. Don't get me wrong, ladies. My friend has a girlfriend, so he is more restrained. Just sit down if you want, don't be angry. Seeing this, Zhao Jian quickly stood up and came over to smooth things over. The leading woman snorted coldly and actually sat down next to Zhao Jian. Seeing this scene, Su Li frowned slightly. Bite. System tasks have been released. Mission, drunk teacher. Help the teacher get out of trouble and gain the teacher's favor. Task reward, 200 soft meal points. When Su Li was sitting there alone and feeling bored, suddenly a task was issued by the system. Teacher. When Su Li heard the word teacher, he was stunned at first, and the next second, Wen Qing's appearance appeared in his mind. Glancing around, Su Li saw Wen Qing drinking at a booth some distance away from them. Next to Wen Qing was the man named Zhao Jie who was with him that day. At this moment, Zhao Jie's hands were a little dishonest. He kept putting his hands on Wenqing's shoulders, but all of them were slapped away by Wenqing. Drink. Zhao Jie handed the rescuer in his hand to Wenqing and said this to her. Zhao Jie, I can't drink any more. I'll get drunk if I drink any more, and I have classes tomorrow. Why don't we go? Wenqing really didn't want to get in touch with Zhao Jie, but due to pressure from her family, she had to keep in touch with him. Zhao Jie brought him to this occasion today, which made Wenqing feel uncomfortable all over. Moreover, after drinking glass after glass of wine, Wenqing, who was already not very alcoholic, had flushed cheeks. Qingjiang, look at all my friends here, if you don't drink, I'll lose face. As the people around him pointed their fingers in a circle, the expression on Zhao Jie's face became a little unhappy, and even a little threatening. You have to know that if your company wants to get this deal, it has to rely on my help. After whispering these words into Wenqing's ear, Zhao Jie handed the wine glass to Wenqing. After taking the wine glass, the expression on Wenqing's face became very ugly. It would be wrong for her not to drink the wine, and it would be wrong for her to drink it. If she drinks this glass of wine, there will be a second and a third. Then Zhao Jie would get her drunk one drink after another. Everyone knows what Zhao Jie is thinking. But if Wenqing doesn't want to drink it? There were some crises in their company and they needed Zhao Jie's help. This is also the reason why her parents tried their best to bring her and Zhao Jie together. Drink. 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 At this time, the people around also started to make a fuss. After hesitating for a while, Wenqing drank the wine in the glass. After finishing the glass of wine, Wenqing put the glass on the table, with an embarrassed expression on her face, and looked at Zhao Jie next to her and said, I've already drunk, I really can't drink anymore, so I'll leave first. After finishing her words, Wenqing was about to stand up, but her wrist was grabbed by Zhao Jie. Did I let you go? As the saying goes, a good drink lasts for more than 30 minutes. You're planning to leave after just a short drink. Isn't that inappropriate? Zhao Jie pulled Wenqing into his arms. Then he put his mouth close to Wenqing's face. Fortunately, Wenqing broke free in time. Wenqing broke free from Zhao Jie's arms and was just about to speak. He was met with Zhao Jie's threatening gaze. I said sit down, did you hear me? Zhao Jie raised his voice several tones when he said this, and the threat was too obvious. Boss Zhao, I'm afraid you picked up your girlfriend, right? Har har har, I used to think Boss Zhao was an old hand in the love field, but it looks like he made a mistake this time. Don't laugh at Boss Zhao. Everyone has times when they are in trouble. Boss Zhao, do you think I am right? A group of people nearby started to make a fuss, making Zhao Jie's face instantly turn very ugly. Sit down, you hear me? Otherwise, your company will go bankrupt. After threatening Wenqing in front of him, Zhao Jie patted the seat next to him. But Wenqing still had a conflicted expression and did not sit down. You want to leave, right? You can go if you want. Drink this bottle of wine and I'll let you go. Seeing that Wenqing was unmoved, Zhao Jie suddenly grabbed a bottle of wine on the table, opened the lid, and handed it to Wenqing. You can leave after drinking this bottle of wine, and I promise not to fail to help your family because of what happened today. But if you don't want to drink, you'll just stay here. When I leave, you leave too. Zhao Jie is a very face-conscious person and he absolutely cannot lose face in front of his friends. So I did this to Wenqing. Looking at the bottle of wine handed over by Zhao Jie, Wenqing gritted her teeth and took the bottle directly. Then he started to pour it into his mouth. Good. I didn't expect this girl to be so generous with her holding it. This is so exciting. I say that this girl, Boss Zhao, would rather drink a bottle of wine than accompany you. Boss Zhao's skills still need to be improved. When Zhao Jie's friends saw Wenqing's actions, some of them applauded, while others were sarcastic to Zhao Jie. After all, the identities of these people are basically the same as Zhao Jie. Chapter 33, Fortune Tellers Must Pay. These words really made Zhao Jie feel a little embarrassed. Zhao Jie, I can go now. After drinking a bottle of foreign liquor, a strong feeling of dizziness rushed straight to my forehead. Wenqing just felt that her feet were no longer stable. Can. After all, it was said in public. Zhao Jie wanted to go back on his word, but when he saw the teasing expressions on the faces of his friends, he swallowed his words. When Wenqing heard that she could leave, she picked up her bag and turned around to leave. But before she could take 2 steps, her feet suddenly went weak. Zhao Jie on the side was waiting for this opportunity and wanted this effect. He stretched out his hand and held Wenqing in his arms. The obscene smile on Zhao Jie's lips could no longer be suppressed. But at this moment, a hand suddenly appeared and snatched Wenqing from Zhao Jie's hand. This sudden move caught Zhao Jie off guard. Who? When he looked back at his arms, Wenqing was gone. Zhao Jie looked up suddenly with an angry expression on his face. It's me. Su Li had appeared here at some point. He held Wenqing to his side and responded to Zhao Jie coldly. It's you again, kid. You ruined my good deeds last time, and you dare to come over here again this time. Seeing Su Li's face, Zhao Jie clenched his fists tightly. The last time Su Li ruined his plan, Zhao Jie wanted to pull out Su Li's tendons and bones. If Wenqing hadn't stopped him, Zhao Jie would have already rushed to the school to cause trouble for Su Li. Unexpectedly, Su Li appeared in front of him again this time. Teacher Wen, are you okay? Ignoring Zhao Jie beside him, Su Li focused his attention on Wenqing. Even if there was no system task this time, Su Li would definitely come to help as long as he saw Wenqing. You can't hear me when I'm talking to you, right? Seeing that Su Li completely ignored him, Zhao Jie raised his fist and hit Su Li in the face. However, the fist stopped when it was an inch away from Su Li's face. All this happened just because Su Li grabbed Zhao Jie's wrist. You! Just as Zhao Jie was about to speak, Su Li increased the strength of his palm. The pain made Zhao Jie unable to help but put his other hand on his wrist, trying to pry Su Li's palm open. I'm telling you, don't put your dirty hands on Teacher Wen again, or I'll beat you up every time I see you next time. With a threatening expression on his face, Su Li pushed Zhao Jie away after saying this, turned around and prepared to leave. But before Su Li could take 2 steps, a large group of people suddenly surrounded Su Li. These people are all Zhao Jie's friends. And none of them are easy to mess with. After all, as the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. After all, Zhao Jie is a person with some background, so it is normal for him to make friends with people with backgrounds. Sometimes, kid, don't mind your own business. Minding other people's business is the easiest way to get yourself into trouble. How dare you meddle in my friend's business? If you're smart, leave this woman here and get out of here. I'll let her go today. Otherwise, I guarantee you won't be able to leave this nightclub. That. One of the men seems to have a better relationship with Zhao Jie. He took off the hat on his head and threw it aside, threatening Su Li in front of him with a fierce expression on his face. Boy, you ruined my good deed once, and you want to ruin it again. I'm telling you, even if I can't get Wenqing today, she will still be mine in the future. You are just a poor student in school, how dare you meddle in other people's business? Zhao Jie walked out from the back of the crowd, his expression not only fierce but also somewhat smug. Especially when talking about Wenqing, it was as if he was talking about his own personal belongings. Kneel down now and kowtow to me and admit your mistake. I can still forgive you. Otherwise, I will be crippled today. I will cripple you even if it means that you are wrong. Standing in front of Su Li, seeing that Su Li still had a disdainful expression on his face, Zhao Jie pointed directly at the ground in front of him and asked Su Li to kneel in front of him. A real man should kneel to heaven, to the earth, and to his parents, but I have never heard of kneeling to a dog. A hapless dog like you is worthy of me kneeling down for you? And you are still threatening me here. I'm in a good mood today and I don't want to argue with you. If you dare to talk nonsense here again, I guarantee that your face will come into close contact with the ground in a while. Su Li had a playful expression on his face. He looked at Zhao Jie in front of him, and then imitated Zhao Jie and pointed to the ground in front of him. How dare you scold me? When Zhao Jie heard what Su Li said to him, his eyes widened. Brothers, go ahead. Zhao Jie shouted and rushed towards Su Li, and beside him. Chapter 34, The Art of Splitting Muscles and Distorting Bones. Brother Tiger. Zhao Jie greeted the man next to him. When the man turned around and saw Zhao Jie, an expression of surprise appeared on his face, and then he smiled gently. Isn't this young Master Zhao? What's wrong? The man called Brother Hu by Zhao Jie was named Wang Hu, and he was the security captain of this nightclub. He is also a notorious figure. Brother Hu, I was beaten up just now, right here in your nightclub. That guy not only stole my girlfriend, but also stepped on me in front of a group of people. Pointing to his face, which was stained with some stains, Zhao Jie's tone became extremely angry at this time. Is there such a thing? How dare you bully young Master Zhao in the nightclub I manage? I have to stand up for you, Master Zhao, in this matter. Wang Hu originally thought that Zhao Jie wanted him to go over for a drink, but he didn't expect that Zhao Jie was beaten up by someone. He immediately decided to help Zhao Jie. The reason for this decision is entirely because Zhao Jie is Wang Hu's ATM god of wealth. On weekdays, there are some things that Zhao Jie is not convenient to do, and Zhao Jie is always causing trouble outside. And his father doesn't really like to clean up his mess. Zhao Jie naturally had to find a strong helper, and this strong helper was none other than Wang Hu in front of him. Under the leadership of Zhao Jie, Wang Hu and a group of people searched for Su Li in this nightclub. At this moment, Su Li had already helped Wen Qing back to their seat. No wonder this handsome boy ignored us. It seems that he already has a crush on someone. Looking at this figure and appearance, I can't help but feel moved. It's only natural that you look down on us, the vulgar ladies. The woman who had just greeted Su Li showed a playful smile on her face when she saw Su Li helping Wen Qing come back. No, sister, things are different now. These handsome boys are really good now. A woman nearby was also looking towards Su Li without concealing her gaze while laughing. Su Li didn't care about the tone of their voices. Instead, he supported Wen Qing on the seat where she was lying and covered her with his coat. Just after Su Li sat up, several figures appeared beside their seats. Brother Tiger is this kid. It was this kid who beat me up just now. The moment he saw Su Li, Zhao Jie's voice immediately rose several degrees, and the sharp voice directly covered the noisy music in the nightclub. Why is it this guy? Zhao Jian, Chen Zhu and the other two frowned when they saw Zhao Jie. Because several people all recognized this Zhao Jie. When Su Li helped Wen Qing back just now, several people were a little surprised. But before he had time to ask Su Li, Zhao Jie had already appeared here. Until the moment they saw Zhao Jie, several people instantly understood what Su Li had just done. I also know why Su Li brought Wen Qing back. I thought they were some kind of people, but it turns out they are just a bunch of little brats who haven't even grown all their hair yet. Boy, are you brave enough? Dare you touch my people in the place I'm in charge of? Wang Hu waved his hand. With the wine bottle in his hand and an arrogant tone on his face, he cast a provocative look at Su Li. You three take good care of Teacher Wen. I'll take care of things here. Seeing this, Su Li stood up and walked towards Wang Hu. Good boy, you have the guts to come to me after hearing my name. It's quite troublesome. Seeing this, Wang Hu showed an expression of surprise on his face. However, Wang Hu had no idea that the reason Su Li came to cause trouble for him was not because he was Zhao Jie's backer. The reason why Su Li wanted to deal with him was because the system's reward had not been distributed yet. That means Su Li failed to complete his mission this time. Judging from the current situation, if we want to complete this mission, we must deal with Wang Hu in front of us. This is the main reason why Su Li wants to deal with Wang Hu. One person does the work, one person takes the responsibility. I did this alone. It has nothing to do with them. If you want to cause trouble, come after me. I'm standing right here, and you can use whatever means you want. In Su Li's eyes, there is no difference between Wang Hu and Zhao Jie and his group. Ever since Su left Chinese martial arts, his skills have become unmatched by ordinary people. Then I want to see what you are capable of. After he finished speaking, Wang Hu raised his hand and several of his younger brothers behind him attacked Su Li. The bone-splitting hand. The moment Su Li raised his hand, a few words came out of Su Li's mouth. And when these people heard the sound, they had already announced their results. A few seconds later, all the people Wang Hu brought with him lay on the ground and began to wailing. I didn't expect this handsome boy to have such a skill. It's really interesting. After licking the corner of her mouth, the woman sitting not far from Zhao Jian and the others looked at Su Li in front of her with an interested expression on her face. You dare to hit our people? Boy, do you know what happens to those who hit us? When Wang Hu saw that the security guards he brought with him were all knocked to the ground, the expression on his face became a little embarrassed at this moment. He had already promised Zhao Jie that he would deal with Su Li in front of him, but now Su Li was not dealt with. Instead, his men were pinned to the ground by Su Li. I have already started, what next? I have to leave this place now. If you want to do the same as them, feel free to stop me. After finishing speaking, Su Li turned around and went to help Wen Qing up. However, Wang Hu took out the walkie-talkie and shouted, "Everyone, come in." Not long after Wang Hu shouted this, security guards appeared beside him one after another. "You are good, kid, but how many can you beat? Even if you can beat 10. I want to see if these guys next to you have the same ability. If I catch you, you will have to surrender." Wang Hu knew that he could no longer deal with Su Li head-on. To deal with Su Li, he could only use underhanded tactics, so Wang Hu set his sights on Zhao Jian and the others not far away. This time it was Su Li who frowned. It was indeed a bit difficult for Su Li to deal with so many people, but it was not completely impossible. But these people have set their sights on Zhao Jian and his group, so he can't protect them. Just when Wang Hu raised his hand and was about to let his security guards take action, Su Li did not see a figure walking up behind him. "Stop!" The voice came from beside Su Li, which surprised Su Li a little. Chapter 35, The Favor of the Female Boss. Su Li glanced to his side and found that it was the woman who appeared beside him when he came here. The woman held the wine glass, smiled gently in Su Li's direction, then turned to look at Wang Hu. "Everyone in the bar is a customer. I asked you to watch the bar here, so you watch the bar for me like this. You are so brave that you dare to attack the customers in the bar." As soon as the woman opened her mouth, Wang Hu's face immediately turned ugly, and Su Li even saw a hint of panic on Wang Hu's face. "Sister Hong, why are you here?" After stammering out these words, Wang Hu immediately lost his arrogance and became as obedient as a little white rabbit. "Why am I here? I'm in a good mood today, so I came here to have a couple of drinks. I just happened to think this handsome guy was a good match, so I sat next to him and talked to him for a few words, and then I saw you in the bar dealing with the customers in my bar. Why do you think I'm here?" While speaking, the woman put her hand on Su Li's shoulder, but this time Su Li did not refuse. "Wang Hu, I think you are getting bolder and bolder. You dare to do this without my permission." After Wang Hu said this, his body began to tremble unconsciously. Even Zhao Jie next to him lowered his head and slowly shrank back at this time. Others don't know the identity of the woman in front of them, but Zhao Jie and Wang Hu both know it very well. "The woman in front of me is named Li Hongxiu, the owner of this bar. In the small place of Qingjiang, this name is known to everyone. Everyone who knew her respectfully called her Sister Hong, even though the woman was not very old. But few people know that she is the owner of this bar. Sister Hong, it's all a misunderstanding. This little brother just had a conflict with my friend. There was a conflict in the bar. My friend said that this guy stole his girlfriend, so I came to intervene. I'm so sorry I didn't see you here, Sister Hong." Wang Hu apologized to Li Hongxiu in front of him with a fearful expression. "I don't care what the specific reason is. As for the customers' problems, I have already set a rule that they should not fight in my bar. You can solve it however you want outside. You are actually taking the lead in violating the rules of the bar. Why don't you arrest this Wang Hu for me?" Before Li Hongxiu finished her words, the security guards that Wang Hu had called over directly arrested Wang Hu. Li Hongxiu is also a legendary figure in Qingjiang City. She has no background and no backing, but she has relied on her own ruthlessness to get to where she is today as a woman. "Wang Hu, you should know clearly what will happen if you break my rules. Go and take him down to me." After leaving these words, Wang Hu was dragged away. Even though Wang Hu kept begging for mercy and shouting. But Li Hongxiu didn't even raise her eyebrows, as if killing Wang Hu was just like killing a cat. "Like ants. Little brother, today's incident was my bar's fault. I will waive the bill for your table today. If you come to visit us again, feel free to say hello to me. This is my business card. If you need anything, just come to me." Li Hongxiu took out a business card from her bag and said this to Su Li beside her with a smile. Who would have thought that a woman who looked a little strange just beside him would become such a powerful person in the blink of an eye? Moreover, Li Hongxiu's temperament was very different from before, and no one could tell that this was a single person. All this is because Li Hongxiu has this kind of personality. Sometimes she will suddenly change her face and image. As for the women following her, each of them was not an ordinary person, and if they were singled out, they would be more or less scary. "Thanks for helping me out today. If you need me in the future, just give me a shout." Su Li didn't like owing others anything, so he responded to Li Hongxiu with a smile. Exceed the task, unlock hidden achievements, and win the favor of the female boss. Reward 500 soft rice points. Su Li never expected that he would get such an amazing reward just by drinking and eating. Okay, if there's anything I can do for you, I'll be happy to help you. After saying these words to Su Li in a very casual manner, Li Hongxiu returned to her seat and continued drinking. Su Li and the others naturally had no intention of staying here. After leaving the bar, the few people who were still a little tipsy immediately sobered up when the cold wind blew. Let's find a place to deal with it. It's not convenient for us to ask the teacher what to do next. Several people helped Wenqing out. Wenqing, who was already unconscious at the moment, naturally had no way of following Su Li and the others anywhere. Su Li found a hotel nearby that looked relatively clean. After booking a few rooms for the group, he sent Wenqing to a room to rest. Where am I? Wenqing finally woke up after holding her forehead and sitting up. Wenqing picked up the cup of water beside the bed and took a sip of water. She looked around and found herself in a hotel. This frightened Wenqing so much that she sat up suddenly, lifted the quilt and took a look at Wenqing, then she felt relieved. Why am I here? Why was I sent to the hotel? Wenqing clenched her fist and hit her forehead a few times, forcing herself to recall everything that happened in the bar. Suddenly she remembered that when she was a little confused, she seemed to hear Su Li's voice. It seemed as if I could hear the sound of Su Li and Zhao Jie clashing. Is it Su Li again? Wenqing murmured a few words in confusion, opened the curtains and looked outside, and found that it was still dark, then returned to bed. She sat down and when she took out her cell phone, she saw threatening messages from Zhao Jie one after another. From these words, Wenqing also figured out what happened today. It turned out that it was Su Li who took her away after she got drunk. Not only that, Su Li also beat up Zhao Jie. This is really troublesome. I didn't expect Zhao Jie to use such disgusting means again. Not only have I offended Zhao Jie, but Su Li might also be unsafe. What should I do? Wenqing finished reading the text message, held the phone in her palm, and a worried look appeared on her face.